top writers between
between 2 and 3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. A friend told me about the whole plotline that was actually planned, but then they scrapped the entire thing.
Yeah, the whole thing about dark matter.
Yeah, and then like wasn't Mass Effect 3 like they were they had a crunch time or something like at the end, like they got,
which is its
Did
own
Mass Effect
issue.
3 have like a 6-month delay? Or no, 4-month delay.
I don't remember.
It was going to come out in December and then it got delayed to March.
Oh dear.
I just see it as all the stuff that was going to come out at that time anyway. It's like they figured they'd delay it just to get the game ready.
Anyway, let's get started, folks. We got a full house, if not more than a full house. We're getting more people coming in. And good afternoon. Welcome to Smudcast number 116. And this is the title of Bioware Answers Unsolved Mysteries of the Mass Effect Universe from the Arts Technica YouTube video. We've got all kinds of new folks here. I just called them in from the Smudboy Discord server. On the right-hand side of me is UDP, in case you guys don't recognize his dinosaur avatar, I guess. Say hello, UDP. Are you still there?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. All right, just quiet as always. That's fantastic. All right, so I'm going to introduce all the people from the left-hand side of me. So we have Crazy Philosopher, fantastic name. You are a insect, I believe. I don't know.
That's just a random doodle I once drew, and I thought it looked kind of funny.
Okay, that's good for me. This is DB next to him. Thank you, sir. Going in.
Hello.
We have Gingamen Prime. That's a pretty cool name, let alone a very nice... Is that a remake of Final Fantasy IV? I can't tell.
Yes, it is. It's from the remake from PSP.
Yes, I actually played that. What do you know? Haha.
A very good game, I should add. I recommend you guys play it if you haven't played Final Fantasy IV before. Find it.
It's a beautiful... I think Final Fantasy II, or at least 4 in Japan, was one of the original Final Fantasies on the Super Nintendo. So always a great time. And then we have...
Yes,
Command and Conquer, sir, Mr. Hobbs, which is a great name as too.
Hey.
Then we have mysterious Nathan Brake. I think I've seen you on the Smudcast chat before, sir. Hello.
hello there.
All right. And we're getting another person, Matthias. I think he's played games with me before. It could be another Matthias, but I haven't heard him yet. He's busy. So we're just assuming he's coming soon, but he's not here yet. Anyway. Let's get started. Before we actually play the video, I'm going to read some of the comments. And apparently, this video introduced one of the panelists here to my channel, which is great. So here we go. Let's read some comments. Dude, are you forgetting? Are you going to answer the question? Nice question there. That's 1,200. It sounds like Mac Walters to me, yeah. Nice, a bunch of non-answers. The elusive man is elusive. This entire video in a nutshell. He didn't really answer the most...
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, pretty much.
1999 Bioware magic. 2019 Bioware magic. It's all ridiculous stuff.
Oh no, it's
Bioware tragic.
I do enjoy the one. He didn't really.
Bioware tragic.
There's one like he didn't really answer the most interesting questions, and that one has 1.8k likes.
Stephen Kelly, wow, thanks for 50 minutes of dodging questions and giving non-answers. Have you tried politics? You know what? He's in Canada. If you've ever heard Canadian politics, or the past 4 years of Canadian politics, the Liberal Party is very, very good at repeating themselves and saying nothing. So.
Well, I have seen videos of Justin Trudeau being questioned on his dealings with his family.
Really?
He was not answering the questions whatsoever.
Is that when he's actually in Parliament or not in Parliament? Because he's barely.
No, it was in a call, like in a what's it called?
Oh yeah,
call or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's very rarely in Parliament.
He was asked how much his mother was earning, and he just kept saying that he was proud of his mother's work and everything.
Yep.
Oh, I found what should be the top comment. Long live Marauder Shields, may he never be forgotten. Should be top comment.
Indeed.
A lot of these are non-answers. However, it was cool to hear about how a planet stuff came about and to hear definitely that there's nothing left of the host when a host is created. Yes, he did answer that question. That's true.
Unless it's emphasis ending, then there is something there. And
see, that's the thing. The writer room never actually gave a definitive answer. He's just sort of fluffing it. He's like, okay, maybe this is how it works. This interview. So what's going on with X? Answer. Yeah, isn't X amazing? That's great.
Really shows you what we're in for tonight.
Long live Martyr Shields. Okay. Yeah. Crazy that a video starring the guy who wrote the ending to Mass Effect 3 is hacky and unsatisfying. Huh. Here I am. There, 11 months ago. Okay. Oh, yeah, we forgot about Gianna Parasini and about 30 other things. What? Tim has telekinesis? Why? Why would he? What is? What are questions? Let's use questions to respond to questions. And then we have this wonderful 13 comments from some of you guys, I think. Actually don't know who these people are. But really funny that when someone asked, please get UDP back and tear this thing apart, Smudboy. That was 11 months ago. So here we are. Fantastic. Let's get going. So hopefully everyone's in the watch together. If not, let me just add you to that. There you go. Watch together is just a web app we use to link and watch things together. Sorry if you guys didn't catch that. Let's get going.
I'm Mac Walters, creative director on the Mass Effect franchise, and today we're going to talk about some of the unsolved mysteries of the Mass Effect universe. Warning, there will be spoilers.
Is a spoiler warning really necessary?
Yeah, it's really not necessary with Mac Walters answering questions.
I was wondering the same thing.
Tell us what you believe the canonical ending to Shepard's story and the Reaper War is.
Okay, so this is like a non-question. There is no canonical ending. You can do whatever you like. Not even Andromeda is answering that. So this is not a big deal. This is a mulligan sort of question.
Well, it's more personal. It's not more facts.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the way
in my experience,
which color did you prefer? Red, green, or blue? That's just it.
Yeah.
The age-old question.
Just know that a lot of people kind of really want to know the canonical thing. I just have noticed that often people are just really, really desperate to know what's canon.
Red.
And I don't quite know why, if it's intended to be open, but I just have noticed that a lot.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, what I like to think, whatever they spent the most time for an ending is what they made for an ending is what I would probably consider canon. So anything that has like more extra material. So I like to consider the red ending when you get enough of those alliance points, the 6,000, so you can get the Shepard to go like at the end. I say that one's the more canonical one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's the most satisfying.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, that's more of a separate element from the actual ending. It's mainly dependent on the war assets, as you just said.
And then we haven't even brought in the indoctrination theory.
That's not debunked many times.
Well, usually, personally, I consider the ending that if given options, I choose the ending that makes the most sense to be the one that's canon.
They don't make any sense.
I know. That's the problem here.
It's the one that does the least amount of damage.
They all blow up the galaxy, so I don't know if that's a valid criteria.
Are you saying you don't like the ending where Shepard becomes God?
As a joke, yeah.
That's the dumbest. Oh wait, no, Synthesis is the dumbest, but yeah.
That's the most retarded. I think.
It is the most retarded because what the hell were we trying to stop Saren from doing in the first place?
But don't you see, Saren was right all along.
But that way, the Shepard can live inside all of us.
Oh boy! Hey, Matthews is here.
That just sounds so cringe.
I just saw Matthews. Okay. Hey, how's it going, Matthews?
I'm doing well.
All right.
Thanks for asking.
No problem. Are you in the watch together?
I just enter now.
Okay, great. So we're going to keep on going. We're 24 seconds in, and Mac Walters is trying to answer the age-old question, what's the canonical ending? And we're all laughing at the idea of there being a canonical ending, because if they were to make a sequel, they would have chosen one by now. So
I look at it, everybody's Shepard's story is their own canonical ending, and that's kind of the easy way out. So for me, specifically, the first time I really played through the trilogy, the canonical ending that I had was everything's destroyed, and Shepard died, and that was my first playthrough.
Everything's destroyed? Man, he sucks at playing his own game.
I wanted.
Did that mean he just like speed run it?
Coming in.
Did no extra side missions?
That's a problem that other RPGs have. It's the canonical ending, because you're basically choosing different paths, and if you have a canonical ending, all the other playthroughs are discarded. It's just dumb.
They're just turned into what ifs, pretty much.
Yeah.
You could pull an Elder Scrolls 2, and all the endings are canon.
Well,
yeah, but that's the other thing too, because Elder Scrolls have the worst lore that ever existed. Because not worse because it's bad written, but because it's a mess. The Dragon Break is basically we are not going to make your choices real, so all choices are real.
Well, with the lore of Mass Effect, everything sounded like great idea, solid concept in the first game. And then they went, hey, we don't care about lore so much as opposed to having explosions and random events happen with other characters we've never seen before. And then the third game, it's like, well, how do we stop the Reapers and make people happy? Let's create new lore to do that. Like, why? No.
That's what we were discussing on the Discord. That how are you going to stop the Reapers? Because I said a big EMP, and that is what basically happened in Mass Effect 3. But it was not even set up in the second game. The second game was just a filler.
Yes, the second game was definitely a filler, and people loved it the most. If you look at the ratings of all the games, it is number one. I think it was
by a slim margin, but yeah.
I think what ME2 was great in the sense when I talk to people is that they really enjoy the characters and the combat. That's what I get from it.
It's definitely a good game. I will not say that it's a bad game, but it doesn't set up the third game. That's the problem. It doesn't set up the Reapers, the climax.
Yeah, because even in the second game, you had all these interesting characters with unique designs and choices to come out with, and when they got to the third game, it was like, okay, what are we gonna do with these guys? What? Oh, Jack, she's now a teacher, I guess. I don't know.
They just didn't have a plan.
Well, it was like another reset button. Like Mass Effect 2 was a reset, kind of like with Shepard dying and being quote unquote reborn. But then in Mass Effect 3, it felt like, well, how do we start a new game? And so you just have to do everything over again.
Well, the whole killing Shepard off thing was just to get him away from any help, basically, and as an excuse to start fresh. Like the story would have been so much better if Shepard didn't die. Like I believe that the collector story could work if they made some changes and if they didn't kill off Shepard in the first 20 minutes.
Could work too because just like you said, it's just an idea to refresh the player can remake the Shepard. But it could work if they did the same thing as The Witcher 3, when you have an option to select what happened in the first game, what you did.
Well, you gotta pay $5.99 for that.
No, let's not. But yeah, to me, it would have been better if Shepard canonically died in the first game and then they got brought back in the second game. It's like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? That's all I gotta say on that.
Yeah, honestly, that would just kind of ruin Mass Effect 1 altogether, because that just wouldn't exactly be the most satisfying ending, even if they were planning on making it. Okay, they were planning on making a trilogy, I'm assuming, because they had a whole Reaper battle and all that stuff. But
I mean, that whole point of they planning from the beginning is on has been on murky water since the third game's released to begin with.
Mass Effect 1 on its own was a satisfying story, and it works on its own. But with all of the things with number 2, where you have Shepard getting murdered and just that time skip.
The second game could be good in the lore, viewpoint if the boss was a Reaper too. If the boss was controlling the collectors. The Reaper was controlling the collectors.
Harbinger was controlling the.
I thought Harbinger was.
In Dark Space.
Yeah, but...
No.
Well, the problem
he does say assuming direct control all the time. So
assuming direct control.
Yeah, when you start inventing lore
literally
to like bring people back from the dead, it's like, oh, that's a thing, and then they just throw it away. So there's lots of stupid things you don't do in writing, like controlling death and physics and inventing physics or inventing tech that never existed without proper exposition. That makes you go, okay, this world is very flimsy all of a sudden. What can happen next? Oh, I know. How about a big giant device that hooks into another big giant device that does this other thing unknown that we're not going to know what it does until the last minute? Like there's lots of stuff you don't do. And
did they ever explain why the collectors were able to find the SR1 in the beginning of ME2?
No.
Never.
No.
Because they were in stealth mode.
It's not even the comics. The comics, and that's the thing. ME2 needs you to read a couple of external material to understand why such things happen. Just like how Liara got the shepherd's body. Yeah.
Actually, I misunderstood what your question was, Nathan. I think Engineer Adams in the third game does kind of explain how they found it, but I don't know how they knew to look in that system.
I mean, I just always was because Reaper tech's better than everything else. Fuck you all.
Well, I mean, I think I remember Engineer Adams saying like they were able to see through their emissions on the first Normandy, and it's been improved on the second one.
That's really.
Yeah, you are right on that. Yeah.
I mean, most of the technology is built around the Mass Effect relays and Mass Effect technology, which was built by the Reapers.
Yeah.
I would also say that the Reaper tech is better than everything we have, unless we need a cool gameplay section where you fight one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the collectors can see through the stealth drive, but the Reapers can't. You know, because
through the old stealth drive.
Well, either way though, no, because the Sovereign couldn't see through the stealth drive on Eden Prime, Vermeer, and a few other locations.
Well, then they use the SR2 when they're using the SR2. It has the stealth. It's able to engage its stealth drive around the collectors, and if they had some sort of god tier, able to see through your stealth drive thing,
except when they get to the collector base, the collector ship kind of goes whoop straight out. See the SR2, even though they were in stealth drive then.
What I want to know is why is the Normandy SR1 in the Omega Nebula if they're looking for the Geth? Why would the Geth be near Omega? Because that's where the ship got destroyed. Like, why would it be there?
Because we need a reason to destroy and kill Shepard. That's it. There's no logical reason to why the Geth was in Omega.
Because plot, in other words.
Yeah, basically.
We had a cool scene. We had a cool scene idea, and we just wanted to do it.
Yeah, no, that's it.
They were
the first 15 minutes.
Trailblazers of the modern trend of, hey, let's have something cool, no matter how it will work.
Yeah, that is the rule of cool. That's what you saw in video games in the East. Now it came its way to the West. It's like, hey, we can do all the fun, blowing up cinematic stuff that they're doing. It's like, okay, well, yeah, but can you give it some reason and logic and lore and make it work with the character's behavior, and not just blow up a ship because it's cool? Can you do the other stuff too?
Can it actually make sense, please? God damn it!
The game that you can say it's all rule of cool is Skyrim. Skyrim, it's all rule of cool. You are the Dragonborn. You can join the Civil War. You can kill dragons. You can join the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
You can defeat another Dragonborn. But sometimes,
a lot of people make as many jokes about Skyrim as they want, but when it comes to the story, they lay it all on you on the table for you to take in at your leisure.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going, gents.
There was actually one time when I did it, I was very into the sort of synthesis ending. I love the concept of... if you want to get into the universal truths about the ending of Mass Effect 3, the Reapers were definitively defeated, the Illusiman is out of the way, And now any of your friends and allies who have survived can now sort of carry on in that sort of chaotic universe.
It's a chaotic universe?
Ship magically repairs itself.
Wait,
if it's chaotic, then how come everything's at peace and everything?
Yeah, everyone can hear everyone's thoughts.
That was a big contradictory statement because he showed the humans, the organics, working together with the Reapers. How it is chaotic.
I don't. Yeah, I would love him to classify what he means by chaotic. Too bad he doesn't do that.
Well, I think everyone having sentience and having the knowledge of organisms and non-organisms in your brain 24/7 is probably pretty scary, but I don't know.
Sounds terrifying.
Well, are you saying they all became one life like the Borg? They became...
It's
maybe in synthesis, but not any of the others.
It's implying something like that. We just don't know exactly what that is.
What was the third ending that they added? It was synthesis, wasn't it?
No, the
refusal.
The refusal's the fuck you ending.
Yeah, refusal is the Zelda third timeline ending, which is makes it the dumbest one.
There's a mod that in Mass Effect 3 that you can put that basically does a middle finger to all endings. The Shepard saved, the fleet came, the Reapers are destroyed, and just Commander Anderson died.
And they all lived happily ever after. That would have been good.
As green people. Or something, I don't know.
Green
plant life people.
No, just an ending where just Shepard rips off his VR headset and says, man, that ending was shit.
Oh, the VR headset on the Citadel DLC.
The Geth consciousness ending. Oh no, he got stuck in there the entire time. Legion loved him so much. No, you're mine, Shepard. You're not going away.
This is my favorite arcade of the Citadel.
Okay, they could totally save it if they were to go back and make ME2 and then just say ME2 and 3 were just a simulation, Shepard, to make sure you're ready to fight the actual Reapers. You were capturing the Reapers, Shepard.
That'd be one hell of a college humor skit.
I would totally respect them if they actually did that with the remaster, if that ever even exists.
Yeah, like a bonus video or something.
You know they're not going to do that though.
It'd be funny.
That would be great.
Mass Effect Andromeda isn't a big soft reboot of Mass Effect per se.
I think we just tend to disregard that game a lot. A lot of the fans are like, a lot of them love it though. There's some very niche fans who love the gameplay, but everything else.
I've heard the gameplay is the biggest improvement out of that whole game.
The rare ones was in the middle.
The gameplay felt like a chore after a while. Like I went out of my way to avoid combat because I got bored.
But yeah,
point taken. Fair point.
Hey guys, I know we're explorers in this new galaxy, but we better make sure our exploring ship is not equipped with any weapons whatsoever.
Oh my god, that was the stupidest thing ever.
I didn't understand why didn't you make a plot like if they were actually exploring the galaxy, encountering various types of aliens, just not the Angara, but other two, beyond cats and Angara. And why they didn't make a Discovering America plot somehow?
Well, you can. They had such unique biomes, such as a desert planet, another desert planet, a cold desert planet, and a jungle planet.
So basically, Star Wars.
Yeah.
No, it's cool because it's neon jungle.
Oh yeah, it was neon, always night jungle.
So basic Avatar.
Yeah.
As a language buff, my biggest gripe was the fucking why did they are they immediately able to communicate with the new aliens? It's just like why? It would have been so cool seeing them learning each other's languages and start to communicate like a slow process, but no.
Does universal translators work across galaxies?
Yeah,
apparently yes.
Works across galaxies and dialects, just.
It would have
just
been funny.
adapts. It just works.
Also, it would be cool if they didn't destroy all the other arcs. Only the human arc survived, but the Atari arc died. The Turian arc is basically destroyed. the Solarian artist captured. Yeah, it was.
It almost seemed like they didn't plan for shit.
Yes.
All right.
They did it. Oh,
Let's just keep going, gents.
Let's carry on.
Right. Another question. Do Reaper husks retain any of the personality of the converted individual, even if they have no control over their own actions? The answer to that is no. Reaper husks are husks. You must kill them. Do not hesitate if you see one. Destroy. What do
pretty sure that's obvious enough. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's obvious enough.
I'm kind of curious though. Why would the Reapers need husks? Like they could just make whatever they want. They could produce all the machines, all the superior troops or shock troopers or disposable troopers, and we've seen that as they come to reap. So it's like, what did they need other races' bodies for? What's the point?
They basically have species of cultists. The Geth worship the Reapers. Why they didn't use the Geth?
They want to be inclusive.
I thought they were like trying
no, not all of them, mind you.
No, but a big portion of the Geth worship the Reapers. Why that big portion?
I think it's more like where they take like the bodies or like of the species, like humans, krogans, like you see all these different outcomes because when like the Asari, they were so powerful, and then when the Reapers got them, they became the Banshees. Those things were kind of a pain. At least those were the tougher enemies anyway.
Well, I can see it as a demoralizing, tactic. Demoralize the enemy you're trying to, reap. And might as well use those bodies that you've killed and put them to good use.
I find
they're assimilating. That's the whole point of assimilating. Like they get the bodies and then they process all that information to create like better Reapers. And
gameplay mechanic. You just need to kill.
That's actually a net win for the Reapers because how many soldiers do you need to kill one Reaper?
Like a whole army.
Just one. A whole army.
The reason I ask is
you basically one pressure mod.
The reason I ask is because they can melt bodies and turn them into goo and yet retain their minds somehow to make a super Reaper baby thing. So if they have this amazing technology or nanotech or whatever, what do they need all these conventional warfare disposable things to do or use when they can literally just look at a planet, infect it with something, turn it into any organic shape they like, a goo or what have you, and that's that. Like, why not just have ever seen the movie, what's that Keanu Reeves movie where he's an alien, The Day the Earth Stood Still?
Yeah.
I think
and
so, yeah.
There's that cloud of nanomachines that are just like sweeping over America, and they're just like eating all the metal or all the technology in their path. It's like, that would be a thing, a really, really old, lazy, tired race that's really efficient at stuff. Be like, yeah, we don't need stupid little organic troops and little drop ships and stupid, why would we waste our time with that? We just have the most efficient method. Drop
I think with the amount of cycles that have gone through, the Reapers have gone through, they would get a lot of more advanced technology. I mean, like the astronomical.
The other thing, why the Reapers are so obsessive with the cycle? Because
they harvest organics to preserve organic life, and so they put them all the obtained consciousness of all organic life for the 50,000 years.
You see, that's
more like you're gonna get killed by synthetics, so I built synthetics to kill you before you get killed by synthetics.
It's also just to answer the question of why they have zombies and everything. I just think it's purely gameplay.
Yeah.
No, it's just
you need something to shoot.
Yeah, exactly. If you had an intelligent
pure gameplay asset.
Yeah, if you had an intelligent supreme consciousness or whatever that has been along for billions and billions of years, it'd be like, okay, we want to make more of us. How do we do that? What's the best way, and why? We wouldn't be like, hey, let's scare the shit out of everyone by ruining their entire existence for like 300 years or whatever.
The problem is like between, so you got ME2, and it explains like, for some strange reason, the Reapers really started taking an interest in humanity, and then that plot line gets dropped in ME3 for something about synthetics versus organics plot line. So it never really explains it. It's just a disconjointed trilogy.
I'm saying there's lots of authors out there in science fiction that would look at this and go, okay, this is dumb. This is like really, like a child would have written this. So they want to get into sci-fi, or they've never written sci-fi before. Oh, let's just make some shock troopers. Let's make some like they have what, 2 ships, the 2K ones and the little spider ones. Oh no, they have those Oculus things too. Those fly around too.
Oh yeah.
I think my favorite version of the idea of assimilating into hive mind is Arthur C. Clarke's Childhood's End, where humanity basically is visited by those aliens that then basically make us evolve beyond being human, and then we become part of the Overmind. Yeah,
all the children are flying up to wherever they go to the Overmind. Crazy cool story. Yeah.
It is weird to basically create an army to kill all beings in order for them to assimilate.
Let's create an army so we can kill this species so we can harvest them. It's basically what they are doing.
Yeah, they're not the smartest. They're not the smartest goal-oriented people or creatures. We're going to use the humans to kill the humans to get the humans. Like what? No.
Basically, like Serens, destroy all organic life to absorb it.
It's just one big contradicting cycle.
Metal, they are basically metal squids on space. They can enter and simply harvest. They don't need an army to do that.
They can make their own humans. It's like, oh, thank you. We've absorbed the DNA of so many humans. We'll just make our own now. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
They just come back because they ran out of new toys to create in their own universe or wherever they are. So they come by to like, oh, let's see what new toys we can find.
I mean, I guess time isn't a concept for the Reapers, so building an army is just probably out of boredom.
No, it is not.
How do you just say that? Because when Shepard entered the Crucible, he's talking with a child. Maybe all the Reapers have a child mind. That's why they create other armies, just to toy with the species they attack every 50k years.
Well, in the immortal words of Sovereign, our reason is beyond your understanding.
We're so dumb, you can't comprehend. Yeah.
Pathway of the Reaper side is... the Reaper side is a pathway to many abilities.
Some consider unnatural.
I'm all the Reaper.
Oh, no. All right, let's get to the most important question of the whole video is, what do the Volas look like? Okay.
Are they just as squatty as the suit suggests, or might they actually be beautiful under there? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but to me it was interesting. I always imagined them to actually be quite almost delicate, sturdy underneath their suits, but delicate. There's a sort of description in there of how if they were exposed to our atmosphere, their skin would actually split. So
so just like the Quarians.
I have a question. Isn't
they're just
being
dwarves.
Sturdy and delicate at once
Quarian
kind
dwarves.
of contradiction?
These dwarves.
Yeah, just like you said, they are Quarian dwarves. So I don't know. They could just be fashion.
What
they like to use this.
What executive cherry picked these questions out of here? Here's a question asking about Mass Effect 3's ending. Oh, no worries. Let's avoid that one. Oh, what the Volas look like? Yeah, we can answer that one.
Yeah. I just have one question. Isn't it kind of contradictory to be sturdy and delicate at once?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the dwarves, for example, in Lord of the Rings, they are sturdy. They can't take the lava and the hordes from Mordor because they are sturdy.
I think anyone in a bodysuit that needs it to live isn't exactly the sturdiest fellow.
Well, especially when you talk to them, they definitely look like they're gasping on air.
Yeah.
You can talk about something looking delicate and being sturdy, or looking sturdy and being delicate, but he is purely talking about looks, and so he says the looks are both sturdy and delicate, which I find kind of strange.
Yeah.
No, well, maybe they're built sturdy, but they have delicate features.
Oh.
Maybe that skin is so
maybe they're beautiful. Maybe they're beautiful under that suit.
They have supple red lips.
This is just a pointless question.
Yeah, let's keep going.
These creatures who are quite brave to sort of be in an environment all the time that could literally kill them. But underneath all of that, perhaps maybe having
just
some
like
very soft
Korans.
and white, smooth, silky skin sort of thing that was quite, kind of fragile underneath it all. And I thought it was a nice juxtaposition to sort of think about what the Volas were like. Do we have that as a sort of concept? No, that's just in my brain. Let's.
Thanks, Matt. Completely worthless answer. Yeah.
Thanks for that
That's just in my brain.
He's talking
That
about the
answered nothing. Moving on.
He's talking about the Volas, and Quarians being brave. Really, the Hanar, the big stupid jellyfish, are the brave ones. They don't even
really
have. Oops, sorry.
Important question. Which Mass Effect species can commingle with others, and which ones can't? I think I know what that means.
Was just thinking about you.
I have been thinking about you too.
I think it's pretty clear the Mass Effect universe is definitely a free love zone. And in my mind, I can certainly picture somewhere out there in the universe, an Elcor and a Hanar slow dancing to Purple Rain. The question, of course, I think comes down to biology and maybe DNA as far as who can have offspring.
That would be a weird conversation between the two.
It would.
Hello, have you heard?
There's obviously some clear
I
obstacles
can see
that
bipedal species having interspecies relationships, like human and Quarian, Turian and Asari, Quarian and Turian. That's okay. They seem pretty more. They basically have the same.
Krogan and Asari.
This one would like to have sexual relations with you.
No, you have a pleasure aroused. I would like to have intercourse with you.
Ecstatic and aroused.
I just want to comment.
I accept.
Well, I think the difference is, if you look at like Star Trek, how all the races in Star Trek can intermingle to a point. Like there's obviously some you can't, but all the humanoid races are pretty much able to have offspring together for whatever reason. And in Mass Effect, you can't. You cannot have a species in another part of the galaxy have the same gametes as another species. It doesn't make sense. So they got that right. The weird thing is we have the Asari, who are like super sexual. They can just sex with everything. So
they just make clones of themselves.
Yeah.
All the humanoid species on Star Trek, you can simply say, oh, they are mammals, they are primates, so it's okay. They have offspring. The offspring will not have kids for obvious reason. It's a hybrid, and it will.
In a sense, you can commingle and stuff like that. It's just a question of like, oh, can they actually reproduce? No, not most of them.
No, because that when Charlie say that Turian and Quarian have the same amount of amino acids.
Yeah, like they eat the same food. Like, what's it, like dextrose food or something like that? Where only Quarians and Turians can eat those?
Yeah, dextro.
Those species, I can actually think they can produce the offspring. I don't think a human and a Turian and a human and a Quarian can have offspring.
I just want to
I mean, to be honest, we don't actually know because they won't address that.
No.
Some things should just be left to interpretation.
I think it's pretty obvious that interspecies sex does not occur. They talked about molecular chirality, which is the way that the molecules can be dissolved or digested through enzymes, so that they can both consume them, so that's not deadly to another person or another species. That's about it. There's no talk of gametes being the same, and if there were, it would be obvious. They would have kids running around, or they would talk about families throughout all sorts of subplots and characterizations that would have happened. So I could fairly accurately say it only happens with Asari, and that's about it.
I was going to say that the only species you can have a family and a child is the Asari.
Yeah.
The only problem is the Asari will overage you. They will have.
Will there ever be a Mass Effect Q&A where the question which aliens can have sex won't be asked?
Yeah, it's a silly question, but
let alone answered.
These are like the Uber fans asking, "Can I have like relations with Tally? Like, can I really do that?" Like, yeah, but you can't procreate. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
beloved species would face. But then again, the Mass Effect universe is also one of high degree of technology and scientific understanding. So I think hope would spring eternal for most of those couples.
I love you, Grunt.
What was the writing process to get so much lore spun up and written for all the planetary descriptions?
Oh, this is easy.
Here we go.
That's an interesting question.
This is a
Let's see how many.
Yeah, it's a non-plot topic. You could just say, well, we went to this book and we found some stuff, we invented it, and someone's checked it out, we're done. So
we put pictures on the board and threw darts.
Yep.
That you wish the games could have explored more. And an example, the planet Logan.
Wait, he just skipped the question, or is he answering them all together? Oh, okay.
With its strange vanishing disturbances. A really interesting story about how we sort of generated a lot of the planet ideas on Mass Effect. Casey Hudson, is a guy who does everything. He's an engineer, composes music. So one of the things he did was he created a random...
Oh god, engineer, I immediately think of Ray from
And
that
this wouldn't just give you the
video,
which it did, but it would also give you these very accurate statistical details about that planet, how far away from the sun it would be, the average temperature and all this other information. We would actually use that to generate lists of hundreds of viable planets that we could use in the game. And so
okay, so this is kind of cool. This is something that a programmer like myself might do if we need writers to make background, get the stats figured out for the RPG character you want to create. So here's a generator. I'm going to make that for you, and then you flesh out the details of, let's say, an ammonia-based atmosphere and what that would be like. So you can't just be like, I know nothing about science, but you have to understand what actually ammonia does to skin or sunlight or what have you. So they would have to do some homework. You couldn't have this generator make every single detail.
Well, you would also have to research.
Would it be more for the
planets, the distance of planets to the sun, what they would have to do to have certain atmosphere and everything? You would have to know that for it to be believable or realistic.
Yeah, that would take a lot of effort. So I don't think the information is very accurate for life. I think just last week we discovered 20 new planets, or 40 new planets that could be super Earths.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So it's we have actual measurements and criteria for what life is as we know it. So what's great about this is because he left it open-ended, and he's saying, well, krogans could live almost anywhere, and this and that with all the other races. All right, yeah, maybe they can only breathe methane or breathe whatever gas. So
does that kind of make sense? Because krogans, they're walking tanks pretty much. They know how to survive. They live on a planet that got nuked to hell.
Yeah. By their own damn mistakes.
Yeah, so this is cool. I like this.
So they're survivors. That's the thing.
This is Casey Hudson being, hey, I can solve this problem for our writers, and here's the tool, and off you go, and then the writers fill that in, which I think is kind of neat.
Well, yeah, at least it's a question he answered.
Yes, there's an actual solution that you just press a bunch of buttons because some programmer made you a piece of software so you can do your job properly. It's Casey Hudson's amazing. It's yes, thank you.
It's better than most of the questions you use.
Yeah, dartboard.
Quotation.
This is an actual question, not an opinionated question.
Yeah. His answer was actually good.
We have a tool for that, or we have an app for that. It's thank you, good.
So we would go back, and we also had our own tool within Unreal, and we would sort of map out one solar system at a time, and we'd say, okay, this one has 7 planets, and then we'd go to our list of the randomly generated planets, and we'd start adding those in. When it comes to the actual how we did the lore, we would actually split that up among most of the writers. And I think one of the fun things for a lot of the writers is sort of those little lore bits that we would seed in throughout, leaving little bits of mystery, little tidbits along the way. Next up, is there an in-universe explanation for the difference in Serens' appearance versus other Turians? No.
Okay, so this was a bit of an issue in Mass Effect 1. When we first see Seren, he does have all these tubes coming out of him, and it never really changes that much, as far as I can remember. So, they don't really change his character model, as far as I remember.
I think he's more talking about, the mandibles, the things on the side of his head that Turians, the kind of angles. If you, take a side-by-side between Garrus and Seren, those parts on the back of his head, they look a little different. I don't know.
I would just consider that just
genetics or something like that.
Yeah, a genetics thing. Not all Klingons had the same forehead ridges, you know.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it always kind of seemed like the bad guy in the original Mulan. It's just like, how the hell do his eyes work, and how do they be like that? But
and he also
like he has to look evil.
It's just for to look being evil.
He's supposed to look like a machine. He's supposed to look scary looking.
I mean, he's letting the Reapers do all sorts of things to him. Like that explains like the synthetic augmentations.
Yeah, he's making himself a superior being.
Yeah, but the fact that those augmentations are very visible to fucking see, it's like that alone should tell you something's up with this guy.
Hey man, we don't
quite understand secrecy. At least.
Well, the thing I guess the game doesn't explain if like people with cybernetic augmentations in the game because you don't see them in the game. So,
although to be fair, he hasn't answered this question yet, so I do kind of want to hear that.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that was more of a,
right, let's say.
You know, it just looked really cool.
It just yeah, I knew that was going to be the answer.
Yeah, okay.
No,
it just looked really
no
cool.
explanation at all to why Seren looks so different from other.
We just explained it in like 5 seconds with genetics. Cool. We just did it right there, genetics or something like that.
You see what I'm talking about? It's like just because they thought it looked cool, yeah, it just broke. Like
this is the rule of cool.
Why does Mass Effect 2 exist? It was cool. Okay.
It's just like, hey, it looks cool. The fans will explain it.
Our fans love us.
He could actually say, "Oh, he did some cybernetic augmentations. He changed his body. It's nothing to do with the Reapers. He did
got
that
a 10-inch dick, Turian."
But no, it's just cool.
If genophage is cured, can the laws of thermodynamics support a krogan population reproducing at an unrestricted rate?
Okay, that's
What?
Wait, what does the law of thermodynamics have to do with it?
Why would
I was confused too. Why thermodynamics have to do with
I don't know.
An idea popped in my head, but I really don't want to clarify it.
Yeah.
Giving them their own planet only works for a few generations when krogan females can produce 1,000 fertilized eggs in a year. Well, that is very true. And I think when you get to the science of it, that is very true.
Dead krogan, female. Tumors indicate experimentation.
I mean, it started a whole war.
It's not just about science, it's also about their culture. So let's do a little thought experiment. They're breeding like crazy. Eggs everywhere.
But all those eggs that they lay
won't
be birthed. Like they won't come to term.
Yeah, not all of them.
Okay, but still, like
even without the genophage.
Sure, it's not gonna be like 1,000, but still, it's gonna be a lot of reproducing, and just it would get out of hand. That's why there was a whole Krogan war, anyway.
So the krogans are reptiles or amphibians because they lay eggs.
They're humanoid dinosaurs, essentially. So they lay eggs, a whole bunch of legs, and they can lay 1,000 a year, which is. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I don't even know how that's possible, but.
And plus, as soon as the genophage even lifted in 3, they were like, "Okay, yeah, we are getting ready."
What actually causes that to happen? Because
for doing biological argument, the size of the krogans don't support the idea that they wait thousands of years to lay eggs. It would not normally be 9 months to 8 months.
Well, let's do basic math here. Let's say it was only 10 a year. That's still way too many for a reproductive cycle for a race that lives 800, 900 years old.
Yeah.
And what's their reproductive cycle? Like 3 months or something like that?
I think their age is close to 1,000.
Yeah.
Give or take.
So you're talking about a fertile female for hundreds and hundreds of years, and each year they're doing thousands of eggs. That's nuts. Like, that is totally crazy.
Would their fertility also be dictated on like their kind of diet, like chickens on our world? You know, like the reason that we're able to constantly, you know, they're able to lay eggs is because they can be fed.
They would have to be healthy in order to do so. So they wouldn't be producing. Like, we're talking 1,000 normal average females birthing that many. Like, I can't even imagine that.
Okay, it's like 83 eggs per month or something like that. That's even if they're cycle or how often they lay eggs. Or
I mean, I always thought as long as they're healthy, anything else.
Laying it.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just try to, I don't know, just quick math, and it's just between. What is exactly the reproductive cycle? Is it like from between laying the egg and from it hatching? Is it like 3 months, 2 months? I don't know.
I guess.
The question: Do we speak in Earth time measurements, as in 1 year?
Yeah, that's another thing you got to take into account.
Well, judging by that, they named the star charts like, oh, your star charts is from 2185. I guess they are using Earth calendar years.
No, because even like if you go hover over a plan, like and look up information, it shows you like, oh, this planet's revolution is like 2.6 Earth years or something like that.
Yeah, everything's in Earth years, so. Oh.
It's a little unbelievable, and I can understand why this is a problem. I think if they even just said 5 a year, that'd be like that's already a geometric progression. That's beyond a geometric progression. So that would be more than enough to explain the problem of having an overpopulation of people who just really want to eat and get weapons and kill people so they could take their land and just keep going.
Though now, given how their planet looks right now, wouldn't they have problems with food?
Oh yeah, they wouldn't be able to sustain a population, so they would have to migrate. They would have to conquer other planets.
Everything
be a.
So curing the genophage wouldn't necessitate the war or giving them a planet.
Well, one planet wouldn't do it. You need like.
The genophage, though.
And that's how we got in this mess in the first place.
Yeah.
I get that. Laying 1,000 eggs per year. You get to live for 1,000 years. Fucking Christ.
This whole mess started because everyone else was helpless as fuck against the Arachnid. They needed something to get sick on them. And there you go.
How long does it take for a krogan to grow up? That's the thing. Like, is it like, do the krogans, like, when do they reach maturity? Like, because that would be even more scarier if they, like, reach maturity by the age of, 18 Earth years. And it's so now they've got most of their life to be, just laying eggs for the rest of that. Yeah.
Grunt's existence kind of supports that.
Not really.
He was genetically built in a tube. I don't think that.
Yeah, but like in terms of how old he would be, according to his genetics, I think it would be like in his 20s or something.
Well, in his 20s in his 20s in Krogan time, at least.
Yeah.
Guys.
I like this human.
What do we think the Krogan are likely to do about that? They're not going to live in peace, likely. Some of those eggs are going to get destroyed. On top of that, let's say all the eggs do survive, and then what do we have? A bunch of Krogan.
I'm so glad that they picked like the one kid out of 1,000 hatchlings
nature is probably going to find a way, as it always does. Even if sometimes it needs a.
I like this human.
What do we think the Krogan are likely to do about that? They're not going to live in peace, likely. Some of those eggs are going to get destroyed. On top of that, let's say all the eggs do survive.
I like to point out that these krogans right here only have one child.
Yeah.
Like, so that would make more, like, in terms of, like, burning resources, that would make more sense if krogans had, like, like every other species, being able to have, like, a litter of, like, 1 to 2 children.
Would it make sense for them to like adapt in that manner after the events of the game?
We don't know.
I would
would like to point out that usually the eyes being on the side of the head is a sign of being a prey animal.
Are the krogans' eyes? I think the krogans' eyes are forward. I think they're forward. I think they just got a large head.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're cute little dinosaur people that have very long reproductive systems
and live forever.
Well, not forever, but
they live a long 1,000 years. Might as well be forever. Us humans get like in by the time of ME.
Yeah,
the ME is like 150 years.
Yeah, 1,000 for us. Hell yeah, it's forever.
If they had, how Vulcans have like pon farr every 9 years, so therefore they only reproduce very specific times, that would make a lot more sense and make this whole process seem believable. But every year they're ready to go. Like, holy jeez. 1,000 babies every boom, boom, boom.
Okay, actually, Berserker is a comment. That's a pretty funny one. The child support would be insane.
I just wanted to say
it would be,
thing.
Shepard, I'm gonna ask you if you could loan me some credits again. Again, Rex? Seriously?
Again?
You have no idea how expensive it is.
All right.
Maybe I've realized I should have shot you on Overmind.
Resources on their planet. I think nature is probably going to find a way, as it always does. Even if sometimes it needs a nefarious Solarian to help it on its way. There were a number of dark energy-related plot threads left dangling after ME2's ending. Yes, there were. In the context of the ME universe going forward, how important is that stuff? I don't think you can really talk about the Mass Effect universe without talking about dark energy. It's one of those great elements that fascinated us as designers and developers, because it is something that actually sort of exists in our world, at least theoretically, this sort of mystical fifth energy that in some ways binds the universe together. But in the stories, it's critical because...
And yet you let the writers get away with throwing that out the window.
To the way we travel, to our
weapons. It fascinated us until we got bored with it and decided to go with that ending.
Sense, I can't imagine...
Okay, I kind of want to hear him substantiate that a bit more. Sorry.
Is the thing that makes Mass Effect Mass Effect. So in that sense, I can't imagine a Mass Effect experience without it. All right, next up we have...
You mean, it's like, you mean Mass Effect 3?
He doesn't want to address, address that they dropped it.
Yeah.
Whenever I want you to substantiate something, you just ignore it. Please answer my questions.
Exactly.
Well, it's important. And it would make the game, and it's all about this, and we have this heavy lore in it, and that's why, and yeah.
He basically answered, yeah, well, it's cool, and we like it a lot.
It's theoretical, just like our trilogy.
Yeah, they basically
theoretically
said more action. Jeez.
Have the Lazarus tech developed by Cerberus seems genuinely revolutionary. The ability to conquer death. How does that fit into the overall ME universe? I think the key there was we tried to explain just how expensive, time-consuming, nearly impossible that technique was to replicate on a single human. This wasn't something that you could manufacture.
Keep in mind, it was only ever made for Shepard and no one else.
Yeah, but I like saying we wanted to make it seem expensive and really difficult, and they do that by making it a really neat, short montage.
Also, we made a clone, by the way. Cloning also exists. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that one.
And it was really good cloning too.
Let's say you create nuclear fusion, right? It's like, it took us 10 years to figure out how to fuse atoms together and produce energy at a higher rate than we were expecting the amount of energy to go into the system. It's like, great. Guess what? You now have amazing science and technology to figure out how to make that process even more efficient. So
if they have the ability to stabilize Mass Effect fields, dark energy, and antimatter, conquering death feels like a little bit easier than, or at least a lot cheaper.
Right, so you have this technology, and you just throw it out the door as if Miranda's like, yeah, I just figured it out. It's just a matter of resources, no problem, but never bringing it up again. You're like, what?
Yeah, they try to compensate that with the fact that it's an astronomical amount of money and resources, but still, it's the same principle, though.
I mean, it exists, and that's the issue. It's not how much it costs; it exists.
Right. Exactly, that's what I mean.
Because Cerberus conquered the death, now they can simply be the silence from Battlestar Galactica. They can, when they die, they can always reward.
Dude, Cerberus probably spent more than, it wasn't just a small fortune. He might have spent like an entire,
I think they gave him like planet. 4 billion credits, whatever that means.
4 billion does not feel like enough because they had to build a new he went out and built a new Normandy, and all that stuff. I'm like, we don't know how much did the first Normandy cost?
It was over 100 billion credits of Element 0 for the first Normandy.
Wasn't it like Shepard had a bunch of enhancements, like muscles and all that stuff? He had like a whole lot of upgrades to any normal human being would.
Shepard was 4 billion credits. I think the Normandy is somewhere 100 to 200 billion
maybe.
Yeah, so he spent a GDP of like maybe several planets worth of money, which makes me wonder, how is Cerberus getting that money? And what book did he sell that was one flying
ship
off the shelves?
That was one ship.
You forgot one crucial thing. The elusive man is elusive. That's how he gets his money.
Oh,
and he invented the paperclip. He's still getting royalties.
Oh,
and looks like he's susceptible to the sunk cost.
Or maybe he actually. Oh, what if the elusive man is the one who developed thermal clips? That's why the galaxy has all the thermal clips. So he created thermal clips so he can have all the money to bring back Shepard.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't the elusive man in the first Contact War?
Yes, he was. I thought he wrote an angry book. I can't remember.
There is a book. He was just a mercenary in the first Contact War.
Did he also not get accepted into an art school?
Oh.
I don't know. It still doesn't make sense in the context. Cerberus doesn't make sense.
The entire episode of Mass Effect 3 does not make sense in many levels, especially Cerberus. So, yeah.
Yeah.
We just want Section 31.
Bullshit.
But for humans, and then they have an army, and then they're the size of the galaxy, and okay. What?
And more explosions.
I will do everything for the humans.
We need more lasers. That's what we need.
And explosions.
Of how it fits in overall. This is a one and done. What exactly are Prothean spheres? Is there something inside of them? Well, wouldn't you love to know? I mean, honestly, that's kind of the point, that you have these spheres that you can't get inside of, but they're mysterious. To me, they're like...
So he shows planet scanning? What?
A kinder egg.
Who wouldn't you want to know, you fuck nuggets?
Okay, next question.
Wow, that was... Thank you about the Prothean spheres. You don't know what you're going to get in them. You know, like...
Neither do the writers, apparently.
For all we know, they could be the Prothean version of Kinder Eggs.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm really glad that they really thought about this stuff. They're just real thought out answers.
If you compare this to other game developers,
because it looked cool.
If you go to Ars Technica and go to other game developers, they talk about like the lore behind Mortal Kombat or the other online games like Destiny. They do interviews with these guys, and they give very good concrete answers because the lore exists. Well, and they're happy
just
to
look through the codex, for the love of God. Just have like the codex open on your laptop.
But I have the people working on the codex answering these questions.
Exactly.
I mean, that's like even before this whole thing even started. I was mentioning like George R. R. Martin. He had to have a bunch of help from a bunch of lore masters to help him like make that extended lore book. You know, just kind of for references or something like that.
My favorite example.
You know a writer that just to do a next book or manga is the writer from One Piece. He literally take a vacation just to study his own work because how big it is, that thing.
My favorite example of that is the reason J.R. Tolkien started writing down The Hobbit and then Lord of the Rings was because he told the stories to his son, and his son kept correcting him, saying, "Hey, last time you said this." And at some point, he got so frustrated with that he said, "Okay, I'm going to write that down, so you can't correct me anymore."
Giant glossary at the end. All right.
What's inside the superstructure of the mass relays?
No.
Again, one of those mysteries. Maybe marshmallows. Maybe it's more of those.
Not a mystery.
It's marshmallows.
Thank you very much for that answer.
Not going to say, but I can tell you it's not the Reapers. It's definitely not the Reapers.
Oh, no.
For sure not the Reapers.
False.
Is there anything that...
Okay, these are just... What the hell is happening?
Okay,
so there's like bullets.
Okay, so first he asked about... He got the question about like what's inside the Mass Effect relays. Obviously, technology that allows ships to accelerate...
No, it's marshmallows.
No, it's marshmallows. It's like, what? Yeah. Just do your Star Trek technobabble. Just be like... The isomania matrix allows the Mass Effect relay to spin around and shoot you across the galaxy.
Maybe marshmallows is an acronym.
That's
message coming.
That's what it was.
Patch it through.
I just considered
even Star Trek does technobabble because there's the technology that is presented on Mass Effect doesn't even exist. You can't do an easy explanation. No, it's a massive energy that transforms the ship in little atoms and transport it to the next max relay.
Yeah, but kind of like Mass Effect, Star Trek was kind of grounded in real science. Like, if you know, like, at least a little bit about science, you can follow some of the technobabble until they get the high concept sort of thing.
Well, we all know what it does. We know the function of a mass relay. It's a giant ESO core that has
a giant slingshot. That's just what it is.
Yeah, that has a little computer that calculates your mass and says, this is what's going to take you to get from A to B, and then it sends you off on your way. That's all. All you have to do is say that there's technology, there's a massive ESO core, and that's it. It's just a straight slingshot.
Yeah, they're just ancient space gates that allow you to just super fast travel across the galaxy, which would have normally taken you, hundreds of years. Now you can just do it in seconds.
And the lore guy would say, well, there's a Mass Effect corridor, which is massless, and it calculates your distance, and it sends you off at a certain speed. Yada,
is it
yada.
Seconds? Because I wonder if that's one of the questions. Because I always wonder how long did it take in between the trips?
It's
instant. I think it's seconds between. I think it's seconds between the gates. So between relays, but then it takes time because then every ship travels at FTL speeds.
What is it?
That's where all that's where all the romance happened. Is the traveling towards the gate.
What ends up happening? You're right, because it has to slow down. So that whole streaming of lines and stars is not you traveling at FTL unless you're actually in FTL. That's different. This is just you slowing down to get to where you need to go. That was sort of abandoned or forgotten about in Mass Effect 1 when they talk about how the mass relays work if you go to the codex. So everything is like a 40-minute to 50-minute slowdown to get from A to B. So it's instant. You're there, but you have to slow down.
Yeah. I bet if he was asked that question, he would say roughly one loading screen.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yep.
Here's Adam Wooford. With Lazarus projects could lead to immortality. It just costs a lot, but over time it will become cheaper. Imagine an army of people that could be hundreds of years old, be something like the Imperial of mankind. There's so many things. Once you surpass death, that is going to be a huge issue with people. And to say that we brought someone back from the dead and we have tech to show for it, even a little bit of tech, would cause people to go nuts.
I mean, you could do so much with that tech. Even if you don't use the whole suite of it, just thinking how much diseases and everything you could cure with a little bit of it.
Here's another thing. If Cerberus was able... Oh, sorry.
That's what I was talking about. Cerberus discovered how the Cylons live on Battlestar Galactica, because the Cylons, they can have multiple bodies throughout the universe. If one dies, it's basically rebuild itself and go to infiltrate again. You just this for the humans. The humans became organic Cylons. Now they can simply infiltrate. If one dies, they can go back and infiltrate again.
Well, here's another thing. Cerberus created cloning technology and was able to clone Shepard, and if you choose like the war hero Shepard, that as your background, single-handedly fought off an entire pirate armada or something like that, a pirate army, and you could clone a bunch of badass Shepards, and now you've got an army. It's just
you can probably even keep it because the main Shepard is enhanced and stuff like that. If you just got a regular Shepard, you're good.
Yeah. So imagine an army of Shepards.
If you have an army of Shepards, you can literally take the government from the Alliance, and you can just do your human supremacy government that they totally want.
Well, you're going to get something like a Star Trek eugenics war if that were to happen. So they could explore so many things in Mass Effect, but it's all about that sweet, sweet Reaper war, which is so fun and makes so much sense and so much better storytelling. So,
you know what would have been really interesting? If all the Cerberus soldiers you were killing were actually clone Shepards in Mass Effect 3. You reveal it, it's like, it's me. Liara, look, it's me.
There is
Shepard
could
have
there is a
and
game
Shepard
out
could
there.
have a.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Yeah, it's like I think I remember a game out there somewhere where the enemy faction is just clones of someone. I can't remember what.
Star Wars?
Is it going to be really
not
back maybe
that,
a few
Are
seconds?
you thinking Fear has the enemy faction is clones in the first Fear?
Well, there was Shala from Mass Effect 1. She was just a clone of, well, whatever what the hell is that creature called again? I can't remember.
The Thorian?
The Thorian. There you go.
Big giant.
Yeah.
Was she a clone? I thought she was just absorbed into the planet.
They cloned her.
no.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thorian could
yeah.
spit
That's
on
how
her.
the Thorian. That's how the Thorian cloned her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See, that was cool.
Also
that was great.
Dropped plot line.
Yeah, do some research into that.
The guy who could resist Reaper indoctrination. He's right there. He's like, oh, well, we'll kill
Just
him.
not the indoctrination theory.
You just meet her in ME2 again, and she's like, "Oh, thank you, I'm helping with the colonies. I'll see you." And they hint like, "Oh, you could have a romance with her, and maybe there might be more plot with it." Nope, she's just a war asset now.
Yep.
In ME3.
Really, I never got that.
Yeah.
They did the same
I think
thing.
like you get like an email or something.
They completely
And she was
forgot
cool.
Parasini. Like they just tossed her out the airlock. Like, who's that? I don't know. Gianna did something.
Forgot about her.
Is it okay if we reel it back a few seconds because they're like questions?
What
Sure.
could work in Mass Effect 3? The War as a team could work if it was tied in with the story, not with the multiplayer. You know, you go to all the other planets, you collect resources, you convince other species to join, you set up a plan to how you're gonna battle the Reapers. But instead, you just need to play the multiplayer and your game.
Well, oddly enough, the multiplayer to Mass Effect 3 was so much fun, very similar to how Mass Effect 2 was just this idea for fun, like just to have all these different stories, all these different characters, do whatever you wanted outside of the whole Reaper War bullshit, because they just wanted to, which is great as a entertainment device, but it's bad if you're trying to tell a story with 3 parts. So I look at the multiplayer of Mass Effect 3 as just this fantastic experience. It's very well balanced. They had a whole separate team do it. They were updating this thing every week for like, was it 8 months or more? I couldn't remember how long
it was
roughly. Yeah.
Wasn't that the Mass Effect Andromeda team that made that multiplayer?
Yes.
Yeah, Montreal. Yes. Well, Montreal also did Andromeda. Yeah. So it was
funny how that works.
Yeah. Great gameplay, fantastic balance. It was just horde mode, but still, that was the fun part. And you could play as any if you rolled the loot box for it, you got the Volas or you got the Geth. It's like, wow, I always wanted to play as one.
And it works in its favor that they were able to retain the core combat across the entire mode, exactly how it is in the main game.
Problem is that the multiplayer was tied into getting your war assets up to 100%, and like servers go down. How are you going to get that up to 100% again?
Yep.
If you decided to replay.
Anyway, let's just keep on going.
What's the source of the Scourge? Great question. Not going to say, but I can tell you it's not the Reapers. It's definitely not the Reapers.
Not going to say because I have no answer.
Would it be kind of interesting? Because I thought that was mostly a theory. Because if the Reapers were treating like each galaxy or each galaxy like if it was a Vault from Fallout, like with different scenarios and different like cycles and how it works, studying all the species.
As they try to create the ultimate species to fight off dark energy or whatever.
I mean, that's a pretty cool concept. Like, is the Reapers like treating each galaxy like a vault, like a petri dish?
But Andromeda basically answered that the Reapers only care for Milky Way. The rest of the other galaxies, nah.
Well, yeah, because you make it to Andromeda, there's no mass relays, so I guess they didn't too care about Andromeda.
Like that's like what the theory is. If oh hey, let's see how this universe handles without those relays, but that's just a theory.
You think after billions of years they would have thought going elsewhere, but nah, we like the Milky Way the best. We'll just stay here forever.
How the spaceship on the Andromeda did FTL
They FTL'd it all the way there.
No, because
brilliant idea.
Already on Andromeda, how do you, without the mass relays, go to planet to planet?
Slowly?
FTL, yeah, it's straight up FTL, so it takes a lot longer.
Self-sustaining FTL, yeah.
Which makes very little sense.
That's why in the story, like, you don't jump from, like, complete other, on the other side.
You're in a globular cluster or something like that, or like
you're just in a cluster of
stars, so everything's relatively close.
Essentially, it's no longer Mass Effect, so because there's no relays. Like that's the pinnacle. That's the main symbol of what Mass Effect is traveling through the galaxy on relays. And if you don't have relays, it's not Mass Effect, guys. It's something else. So this is the problem I had with, well, many problems I had with Andromeda, just looking as a concept. But yeah, you can't take imagine taking away warp drive or gates from Babylon 5 or hyperdrive from Star Wars. It's like, okay, now what?
Warp travel in 40K.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're stuck.
Warp travel in what?
If you take that away, it just all will crumble.
Yeah.
If you take the warp travel from 40K, the chaos can't enter in the galaxy.
Yeah, true enough, it would be kind of boring.
Well, you get world peace at least, but you know.
Yeah.
One world at least. Anyway.
Is there anything that happened in the extended universe of Mass Effect that you wish had made it into an ME game? One of the fun things about the extended universe is that we get to explore protagonists who aren't Shepard, and we kind of follow them on their journeys. But what inherently happens then is that those journeys and those adventures tend to be less, galaxy-wide. The implications are
quite God.
Oh my God!
What was that?
Oh
man! Disco ball?
That?
What? Hey, what was that?
Because it's a disco ball.
That was Andromeda.
Well, that was Andromeda, but you know what that was? That was mods. Even he fucking knows their game is bad.
Oh, that's
he had to fucking mod it.
Wow.
Wow.
That is...
Looks almost like a Smudcast.
That's hideous. That's just...
That is horrible.
I was thinking about that because
I forgot that beard.
Take all the new Bioware games, all the models are atrocious. Dragon Age Inquisition being the less offensive, and Mass Effect Andromeda are the worst offensive.
Well, to be fair, they were told that they had to use the Frostbite engine. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt on why their models look like ass is because they're using the god awful Frostbite engine to make an RPG in.
Okay, even with like they just like doing that. That's the problem even with a game like when you're dealing with a game like Mass Effect with all these different kind of endings, you run into a bit of a roadblock on what you can and can't do because I remember like they were trying to tell the story of Liara trying to recover Shepard's body, but it couldn't exactly do some things because like, oh hey, what if my Shepard romanced Liara? Like she would have some sort of more attachment to that, but they can't show that in the comics because someone else might not have.
It's also really out of place for Liara to do all that for Shepard if he recruited her last.
Yeah, like it's just there's limitations when you're trying. It's not like Star Wars where it's just movies and there are set things already for you to pick out of. Not like trying to pick out of a multiverse.
If they're gonna do any expanded universe, they have to, or like it's got to be disconnected from the mainline characters whatsoever. It's just a small little setting.
Yeah, that's really the only way you could do it is just have it before. Like, oh, you want a story about the Rechnite Wars? Cool. Let's just put a random Krogan soldier or Turian trying to fight with each other. I don't know.
I will state that like humanity, like when the time of Mass Effect is like 30 years. Humanity's only been in the galaxy for like, what, 30 years? 50 years? I think it was 30.
I think it was 30, yeah.
Yeah, so they're not, like, humanity, think about this. Humanity just shows up on the scene, hasn't been around for like, it's like, we're already 30 years, now we're leading the council, we already got our first human Spectre, and you found out that Anders was actually going to be a Spectre before you, and that was in his younger... That was back in his younger days. He's like, we'll just say he was back, like, what is he now, like 50 or 60? He'd be like 30 back then. It's just like, that was 20 years ago.
that timeline just seems so fucking short.
It's so short for everything.
To be fair with the Alliance, Shepard literally discovered that the Reapers are coming. They saved the Council, and they basically destroyed one big giant Reaper. Why wouldn't you give a seat to the humans?
Well, yeah, that makes sense, but I'm just saying, like, the fact that they were already considering humans to make him a Spectre at, like, Anders. So it's like 10 years after the first Contact War, and they're like, Anderson, we're gonna try to make you a Spectre.
I mean, it's not like they're asking like the Volas to become Spectres. They don't exactly seem military fashion, I guess.
They're relying on the Turians for protection. So
I mean, hell, you could probably get a Krell. Like, they can be pretty good at assassinations and stealth.
The Drell, yeah.
Drell.
I want an Elcar as a Spectre.
It's gonna ruin your taxes.
Badassfully prepare to die.
The other thing that they use a lot is the N7. All the games have the N7.
Well, it never really truly explains the N7 program, or I guess like it makes it out to be a big deal, but then drops it, just like they dropped the idea of the Spectre.
I mean, you rarely even see like other N7 soldiers. Like,
yeah, you're like the only one. Am I the only one in the galaxy?
To go back to how he answered the question, I think it just kind of the way he answered it shows that he kind of lacks creativity, saying that all these stories are cool, but we couldn't make them galaxy spanning. I'm like, why not? You should take the place 100 years ago.
Imagine because the first Contact War. I will do headcanon here. This is not something that is on the lore, but the Turians and the humans are kind of allies, just like the USA is allied to Vietnam. And
I think there's like. I mean, between Turians and humans, it's the relationships I'd maybe some kind of form of respect while also hating them because there was like the first Contact War.
Yeah.
All right, here's a super chat from Adam Wifford. In the lore, there was a hint in another form of FTL drives without element 0 core. They hinted at dimensional space and theory could be used. I've never heard of that. Must be.
So is he talking like? If he's talking like slip space from like Halo or something like that, that'd be tough to do in a Mass Effect anyway.
Yeah, but slip space in Halo still takes like time to travel across. It was just way faster.
But also just think about how big the galaxy is and how many jobs and everything there are. You could so easily have a character and the story take place across the entire galaxy. A diplomat or something like that.
If you watch the Smart Boys videos on Mass Effect Andromeda, even says that Milky Way is not even explored during this time. There are at least 90% of Milky Way that is unexplored.
Yeah.
So why to go to Andromeda?
Yeah, but like in Andromeda, like, okay, I'm not exactly saying it's good or anything like that, but it's real. But during the memories, you do realize that the whole Andromeda thing is trying to set up hey, the Reapers are on their way. Let's save humanity and all the other galaxies.
Who also had that money to do.
Pretty much.
I think like I don't know if it would be an unsolved mystery. I'm assuming it's not in here, but okay, there was like another theory where the Elusive Man funded this operation, and also Cora is his daughter.
Like, holy crap, the Elusive Man is richer than most, probably richer than the Asaris at this point.
I don't know. Funded everything.
One man with the fucking GDP of several spacefaring nations.
Why the Elusive Man would fund an operation that includes other species if he is the leader of the human supremacy faction?
Well, it makes sense. All the other arcs were destroyed.
No, they weren't.
That was no accident. Well, yeah, but they had accidents and everything.
They got lost, disabled.
There was only like one that got destroyed, and then the Quarians got lost.
Yeah, we don't know what happened to them.
I mean, they were going to, but that got canceled. Yeah, read it in the comic.
Wait, which arc got destroyed aside from the Hyperion in the end?
The Hyperion crashed, but the human arc crashed.
The Turian arc is just basically destroyed from the inside.
Oh, right.
But you get like 2 of the arcs back, or you get like 3 of the arcs back, and then the human arc gets stolen because the human arc must be stolen.
Reasons.
Well, we should stop talking about Andromeda because it's just a bad idea.
Moving on. Moving the fuck on.
Moving on.
Wide. The implications aren't quite as high.
Disco ball. What the hell is that?
There are interesting stories that we tell it there, but we actually want to keep them in the extended universe because we can do more with them, frankly. Reaper ground troops.
You're doing nothing with them, Matt. You're doing nothing at all. There's nothing happening.
But I like.
I don't think they made
putting them in the main universe is doing something more with them. Are you fucking?
Well, I like how he says it's the same.
Vega was from, Vega was was like comic and movie, and he got put into the main universe as your dude bro to chug a surge with. They need your Tom Santiago.
I mean, was Paragon Lost? Did Paragon Lost come out before Mass Effect 3?
Or after? It did.
Yeah.
I don't
know.
I think it did.
Before?
All right. God, yeah.
I would also just like to point out that at first he says, well, those side stories, we can't really make them galaxy spanning, but we can do more with them.
I can make comic books. I was like, okay.
Contradict yourself in the same sentence.
The thing is...
Blue screen too.
Isn't that like the second time or third time he's done that?
Maybe.
They're adopted from other species. So where are the adjectives from? Are they harvested in Usana? I think this is just one of the other of interesting things that we've seeded into the universe. And
we don't know jack shit about the Usana in any way, so whatever.
This is completely
whatever.
Very, very specific.
They never explained.
That's like
anyway.
Real question.
Sci-fi.
All we know about the Usana is that they're the predecessors to the Protheans. That's it. Nothing else.
And they look like tentacle people.
What's happened in the past
from the statues.
Forward. In Mass Effect, the lore didn't just fill out, humanity's history. We actually went back like life cycles of death and destruction and rebirth. And so that's where sort of some of these concepts came from. And I think, to me, that's one of the things that sort of makes it hard to follow, even for us developers, but it also makes the world seem...
Yeah, then you retconned it. That's great. Thank you, Mac. That's great.
The idea to make
Why would you say that to a camera that you're gonna post online that like we didn't know what we were doing?
We were just winging it.
That makes me remember when Peter Jackson said that he didn't know what he was doing with the Hobbit film, the Hobbit movies.
It made money, so it must have been good.
Yeah.
Much deeper. Next question: what happened to Gianna Parasini?
We forgot about her.
As a romance, but never
appeared
in the third game.
Exactly. Who cares?
That is a really good.
Aside from us,
I think maybe we should do a.
What happened to the big 3 characters?
She just he has no idea. No idea.
Deeper.
But it's a really good point for another time.
What about the most important romance? The people who romanced Jacob as femshep, only to find out Jacob got another girl knocked up and didn't tell you. And fucking
they considered it a heavy risk. It's a prize.
Jacob is the worst. In my opinion, is the worst character from the server.
I think they knew that for Mass Effect 2, so they made him an even worse character. It's like, okay, let's ruin it entirely.
I remember, like, when I first played the extended edition of Mass Effect 3's ending, I was like, all right, so you have sort of an ending, like some slideshow of Tali and the Quarians, but like where's my Garrus ending? Where's Liara's ending? Where are those?
They're on the ship, remember?
But
yeah, they're on the ship.
But even
black.
But also Tali was, and also because you get a slideshow of her on her planet. So,
I mean, you could just say that she leaves the crew after the mission is done.
I know, but those are the questions people are asking, not the one of what's her name. I can't even remember her name because no one cares.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Girl from the person you help out on Noveria.
That's Parasini, isn't it?
Yeah.
The only thing it was like it had an interesting concept with a bunch of between dialogue and your choices just in that scenario. Then you move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Else going on. Definitely wise, but even beyond that, cunning, maybe even a little sociopathic from a human standpoint. But I think that was, as one of the early sort of Asari that you got to meet in the franchise, I think she did this amazing job of sort of conveying that sense of there's always just a little something that they seem to know and that they're not going to reveal, and that creates a sort of real mysterious air about them.
And now I must ask you to leave.
Was the planet we found the Leviathans on really their last refuge, or were there more of them hiding on other distant worlds? To the best of our knowledge, that was their refuge.
To the best of our knowledge.
The human reapers.
You're the one making it!
Yeah. Who wrote the damn thing?
Well, this is a writer's room work effort when they do DLC, so it's whoever's assigned to that DLC would know more, and I'm assuming he didn't do that, so he'd be like, yeah, whatever.
No. Also, Leviathan actually says there's more of them.
Yeah.
Leviathan says there's more of them on other planets.
Isn't the Leviathans that created the Reapers?
Yes.
They created the Star Child, and the Star Child's like, yo, I'm going to
everybody. The Star Child was the one that really made the Reapers, I believe.
How awesome would it have been to like seeing the Leviathans fight the Reapers in the final battle? Like, you could have made like a little cutscene. I don't give a crap, just maybe 5 seconds. That may have been like, show me that this DLC mattered, and not just for like wasting 2 hours of my time doing this.
Yeah, they thought it would have been fine to just have the Leviathans take out a Reaper on the planet that the DLC takes place in. Yeah, sure. Give me more.
Yeah. No, they tried it. Do you think they would want to go back in and edit that into CGI? That's too much money, man.
It always reminds me of, I don't know if you guys remember Babylon 5 when the Shadow War and I don't know if you guys watched it, but there's two major races, the Vorlons and the Shadows, and the Babylon 5 guys were looking for more recruits to help out in the war, and they go to some weird planet area of space which you never return from, and they found some race that hated the Vorlons. Like, we hate those guys, and you had to get them pissed off in order for them to join you. That's pretty much what Shepard kind of did here. Would just say, don't you really hate the Reapers? Don't you want to help me stop them? And they're like, no, we're going to give you some magical orbs, and then we're going to, slow them down or something, whatever.
Yeah, we're going to pull them out of the sky or something like that.
You take that thing and leave us alone.
I guess those magical orbs did take control of other the Reaper's husk, but
the Leviathan is just another example of the rule of cool. Hey, you want to be cool if you have space squids living on a water planet that created the metal squids?
So
that would be nice.
The Leviathan are the apex species that built the AI, or the paperclip AI, and so the paperclip AI decided to kill all organics to make it
save them from being killed by by synthetics.
Yeah. So the AI is broken. The AI.
Yeah, it's like if you read Asimov, one of his first rules of AI is you don't hurt humans, and here we have the same idea. Only it's like, well, we don't want to hurt you. We just want to kill you so we can preserve you, and therefore that's our idea of helping you. And it's like, wait, stop. Okay,
what the heck?
Let me save you.
Just stop right there. You're wrong. I'm going to erase you and start again.
There's a type of machine that you can do on Stellaris that is the Rogue Servitor. That you have a biological species that gives units, and you need to have those biological species to have the machines work better. That's what I think the Reapers are, the Rogue Servitor.
It's still a poorly thought out idea that could have worked. There were opportunities to do that, but you need a lot more exposition and a lot more intelligent writing to make it connect. And we just sat there going, nope, this is dumb.
But isn't it cool?
Yeah.
It's just cool.
Not really.
But it looks cool.
It kind of looks okay with the right...
I guess.
Yeah, it's like, I guess it looks all right. It's kind of stupid.
But yeah, it's often that way. You can make most ideas work if you just talented enough and work on it enough, but they just, didn't.
Hey, you want to help get the Quarians their homeworld back? The galaxy's at war with the Reapers. We should probably fight them. No, Shepard, you got to help us get our world back.
Maybe after we save the galaxy, that might be a good idea. How's that?
But Shepherds, I want babies.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm literally the only person that one day heard about the the Korean homeworld and what happened with that shit, it's like I think I'm literally the only person that thought right away that they were going to play a big part in that eventually.
I mean, I knew you were going to go knew you were going to go and help them take their homeworld, but it's like during the Reaper invasion, everyone's dying, Leo. Everyone's dying, Tally. We need to fight. No, Shepard. We got to save my people's world.
That's like 2 minutes
before the Reapers take it. It's like, why? Why did we do all that effort?
or like when Anderson calls you in the Citadel DLC, Shepard, you can have my apartment on the Citadel. I know I'm in the middle. I'm leading the resistance right now, and it's a hard time for us. But you need to relax. There's a fucking war going on.
Chill, bro. I think that's a huge advantage Mass Effect 1 has, is that it's kind of like solving a mystery and finding something out. So detours are more acceptable.
It's like the Skyrim. You have a massive event of dragons going back and destroying villages. But you can literally fight quests and do the entire Civil War.
Yeah, with Skyrim, you could just take out a dragon with one arrow after a certain amount of time. And with Mass Effect 1, once the cat's out of the bag, it's like, oh, we're screwed. We got to do something right now. And then Mass Effect 2 is like, well, let's just, help out.
Oh, yes, Reapers.
Let's just, we got some daddy issues over here. We got... Got to find someone's daughter. We got to get the family. We need family issues. We got to.
The daddy issues with a daddy that's dead.
Scientist.
Yeah.
This is something that I quite like from the Elder Scrolls Daggerfall, because you literally don't need to do the main quest. The main quest is the least thing they talk about Daggerfall, because the main quest is simple: is hey, take this letter. And go and deliver to the queen. And when you deliver that letter to the queen, then the events of the machine, the dragon break, the factions, then this becomes important. But when you don't do the main quest, everything aside is much better.
Well, that's the original. That's the first. No, that was Arena was the first one, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Arena was the first one, and Daggerfall is the second one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Arena, Daggerfall, Morrowind is the third.
There you go.
Third one is the one that saved Bethesda and put the Elder Scrolls on the map.
Yeah.
And then Skyrim, they took it way too far.
Well, Skyrim is just everybody loves it for some reason.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty
you can do whatever you want.
Mind you, Skyrim is, for all intents and purposes, at least in my opinion, a fantastic game. It's just it has a few things holding it back.
Don't get me wrong, I love to play Skyrim, but compared to what you can do in Daggerfall, for example, you can have 3 houses in 3 kingdoms. Or you can have...
That's more so because of the evolution of the technology used to make these games. It's like the technology allowed for Arena and Daggerball to be as big as they were.
Yeah.
Morrowind had 26
you can play Daggerfall with mods if you go and download Daggerfall Unity.
Well, one thing I would say overall is just the best idea is just to make both your story and your gameplay pull on the same string.
Make everything connect or have a underlying connection. If you're gonna do a war thing, make all quests be related to the war, not like a moment where Shepard has to go rescue puppies or something like that.
At least to some degree related to the war,
Yeah, Shepard. We need you to go rescue puppies. What will I get out of it? War assets. All right.
The morale of the crew will be much better if we have puppies on this.
Yeah, thanks, guys. How much more morale do we need? As much as possible. Keep getting more puppies, Shepard.
It's
Shepard, you need to save the ships of refugees that are being attacked by the Reapers. Something like that.
Questions and is there a canonical answer for how that human Reaper would have looked if it had been allowed to mature? It's funny, we actually discussed this quite a bit.
Doesn't matter.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter, but
it's cosmetic
from the original look of the Leviathans. And so I think it's fair to say that there might be some of that carried over into this, giant human thing that walked around, but then it would also have this sort of blend of human nature to it as well.
Honestly, I think it would have flown through space like Dr. Evil's submarine that looks like him.
I don't remember.
I don't think they would finish the thing at the bottom. It would just be like this creepy looking spine, so it'd be like a upper part of the torso of the.
I didn't mind that boss fight too much. It was just took way too fucking long.
I would say this.
Why the Reapers were doing a humanoid Reaper?
Well, it's because
it looked cool.
Well, I before the events of Mass Effect 3, I thought like, human. The idea is that the humans are this are the unknown element in this cycle. They're supposed to be, they seem so different that the humans are going to be the ones to help them fight off the dark energy or whatever they need to do. Hence why they're modeling a Reaper after them, because think about it, like how many cycles they've been through and they're all using the same damn Reaper, and now they make a new human Reaper. So it's like, humans, the human-centric plot point. Humans are like the best all species, and that's why we're harvesting them.
Yeah, that isn't so much a Mass Effect problem as it is a science fiction problem where they try to focus things on humanity a bit too much.
I mean, like, think about
okay, we get it.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the point of Mass Effect, like, where humanity is not the biggest thing in the galaxy. Like,
exactly. And then they come up with the Reapers later on. It's like, sorry, humans are the biggest deal in the universe right now. Sorry.
I mean, that would have been. It probably would have been better if they wrote it like that, but they didn't know how to write a consistent plot.
Yeah, it would have been. It probably would have been a good. It would have been a decent like underlying plot on top of what they were doing normally.
Aside from them being genetically superior because they're so malleable, it's like that's. Fine, I guess, Reapers, but
yeah.
I'm not saying it would have been good. I'm at least saying I'm saying that it at least would have been an interesting concept if they had done it that way.
So, like, humans have like some hidden potential, or that they're just extremely adaptable. Yeah, these other species,
more or less.
But these humans seem to adapt really quickly and are able to just move for the galaxy like that.
Yeah, for me, sorry.
Liara said in Mass Effect 1 that all the other species sees human as a human ability because they are so fast, they move so quickly, they build things so intensively because, hey, we have only 8 years of life, so we need to build this fast.
Yeah, it's kind of strange how humans would be the best when you look at compared to krogans or Asari. They live a lot longer, they're a lot stronger, they're a lot smarter, they have biotic potential naturally. It's clearly they're the smartest and wisest and most advanced, and yet they're not very.
I mean,
genetically.
Also in other universes, they just gave all distinct, like Lord of the Rings. Technically speaking, like humans are the only ones who have quote-unquote free will in that universe, and so they have that advantage over the elves and the other ones, but
the elves also had like long life cycles, so they didn't or they were immortal. Yeah, elves were immortal in Lord of the Rings, so they don't breed as much.
In Mass Effect, it's kind of strange that it would be humans to do all the important stuff, and all the other races seem to be more fit for purpose.
One would kind of see it there as humans having more of a balance of all the components that would make a superior species, whereas all the other species would have one single factor across each of them.
You do like biotic stuff, Krogan, you do the war fighting, and humans, you're the jack of all trades, so do whatever.
You have this on StarCraft 2, because the three races, all of them are very different. For example, with humans, you can have a really good balanced army. When with Zergs, you have the advantage of hordes, and with Protoss, you have the advantage of better technology.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so cool to play StarCraft.
But if we're looking at it from a genetic perspective of, like, say, an engineer looks at an organism and says, okay, they have like 4 arms, they're twice as big as the average organism in the galaxy, they have biotic powers, they live for really long years, like krogans are really super powerful and enduring so many harsh, like that would be like krogans would probably be the best. Like, yeah, these guys are amazing. They can procreate. They can endure. They're strong as hell. But nope, can't use them.
Could what they do really be called procreation? Seems to be a bit excessive.
It is very excessive, yes. It is amazing.
They choose the krogans because the krogans are literally dying. They can't even reproduce. And I think
but to a supreme being like a Reaper, they'd be like, oh wow, let me just flip that switch. Okay, now you can reproduce again. It's like, whoop-de-doo. So
but think about I guess the krogans though, since they produce so much, they would like ravage a galaxy if they're not, checking themselves.
The krogans would be the Reapers of the
they would destroy the Geth instantly. They would be like, okay, give us all the guns and the ships, and we're gonna beat the Geth. It's just no problem. We'll have another generation of millions more of us that will crush you.
There are 200,000 units ready, and 1 million more on the way.
Krogans seem to have all the advantages. Like usually, species procreate in huge numbers because they're weak and die quickly. So in order to keep the species living, they procreate a lot. But then species that easily survive don't procreate that much because they don't need to.
Well, I guess
krogans have everything.
Yeah, but I guess krogan go around fighting all the time. So I guess that's what maybe cycles their life cycles down. But they don't go too much in the krogan way of life. So.
It's always a big topic to talk about. Very warlike species in science fiction that can survive huge generation-long wars, like go on for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they come out even stronger. And the krogans are just sort of there. They're just around. They're not advancing. They're just existing. And you're like, that doesn't make too much sense. Anyway. Here's Serens. Yeah. Humans are the dogs of Mass Effect. No one paid attention to Ashley Williams, it seems.
Man.
Hey, Ashley Williams had one of the highest career rank ups in human history. Yeah. She went from an enlisted as a gunnery sergeant all the way up to a lieutenant commander in the officer ranking. And then to a Spectre. And then to a Spectre. Yeah, she...
I mean, she was a bit of a space racist, but nah.
Yeah, she was racist, though.
She became, but it made sense because her grandpa, and it was like, they're only been 30 years. It's fine being a xenophobic.
And you do have the choice of helping her tone it the fuck down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, even like in Mass Effect 1, it was like, I can't tell the difference between the animals and the, whatever the line was. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
I can't tell the difference between the aliens and the animals.
Right, yeah.
Just remember, romance both Ashley and Liara at the same time, so you can get the great option. Why can't I have you both?
Oh, that's hilarious.
And Liara's like keeping quiet. Liara's like, I don't care.
It's just an option, but like Ashley's like, whatever, and Liara's like, Liara was like, I'm totally down for this.
Yeah.
Like, hey, our species are
yes, it would be.
sort of thing.
But it makes sense for Liara that it is because she needs the genetic variety to having a good offspring.
No, I was like, I thought the Asari species was just already kind of openly sexual.
Yeah, they were very not promiscuous, but they were because they can mate with anything. So be like, yeah, you want to mate with Ashley? I don't care. Yeah, go for it. Whatever humans do.
And also, Liara's grandpa's a krogan, so.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay.
A little bit of the sort of armor on it is our flesh is inherently kind of weak, so why would you even, bother with building a giant human that could just be shot? When the Reapers took control of the city...
Yes, thank you, Mac. It's a stupid idea.
Can you imagine, like, if they had like a giant Reaper Krogan? That would just be, oh my god, that'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
That would be straight up unstoppable.
That was what Smudcast was doing. Is like the Krogans are sturdy. They can take extreme environments, and they are super strong. Why not to build a Krogan Reaper?
You know what? There's those sound clips from Mass Effect 2 of Harbinger talking about all the species, and he lists them all. Like the Krell is this, and Asari or that. But he gives very stupid responses, like the Krogan's genetically neutered or something like that. And you're like,
But they weren't always.
Yeah.
Sterilized race.
This form is fragile.
Is this the first question that we were getting on Mass Effect 3? I think this is it?
Yeah. Oh, it's talking about the Citadel.
Here we go.
If you have to make something giant, why not make a giant Reaper?
So the question is, they're asking about
people on board. Also, did the Reaper shut off life support or just leave them trapped to deal with later?
No, see, as soon as this thing expands, they're dead. Okay, they are dead.
Yeah,
that seems like a legitimate question.
It is.
Well, the more legitimate question: why didn't the Reapers take out the Citadel first? Wasn't that always their key thing?
Yeah, but all the Reapers.
Yeah, but they have to get there to do it.
Yeah, well, I feel like they were already invading. They were already in the galaxy, so they could have just gone there at any time.
I mean, I just thought. I mean, my guess is that they just have to wait for Harbinger.
Yeah, but they were already in the galaxy, so they were like, all right, we're already here, so let's just invade.
And their very first place to attack is Earth.
Yeah.
Well, my biggest question about the Citadel always has been...
I mean, it could just be Earth because of Shepard's actions.
Yeah, because he had the Alpha Relay incident.
Shepard blew up Sovereign. Shepard blew up
yeah, Shepard defeated the Collectors, blew up Sovereign, destroyed the Alpha Relay, and all the other shit in between.
Hey, all right, well, guy.
Sounds like Shepard is like Gary too.
Yeah, they must have thought that if they take out Shepard first, then they're just golden at that point.
Yeah, Shepard's more important than the Citadel.
They would have.
Shepard must die.
Yeah.
To be honest, you can't. All the RPG main characters will be Gary too.
I mean, that plan in itself isn't too bad, but the only problem is you run into is how did they not spot them until they got to the moon?
Yeah, I think you mean Mars. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but they lost. They were like,
no, wait.
The
Reapers went straight to Earth. They skipped Mars. They went straight to Earth.
Maybe they came from another side or something.
I mean that they went straight to Earth. That's how they were able to just barely do what they had to do on Mars and get the hell out of there.
Well, I just had a general.
I thought the Reapers were supposed to darken the skies with their numbers.
Yeah, but that's just Sovereign talking out of his ass, being arrogant. You can chalk that up to them being arrogant.
Yeah, that's true.
Concerning the Citadel, I always ask myself, didn't they say that they just discovered it in the sky? So how is researching the Citadel not one of the key things that the civilizations do?
Yeah, the Asari were the first to get space travel and all that stuff, and they were the first to discover the Citadel, and
so
I guess they just wandered in.
Didn't they have thousands of years to actually explore the Citadel?
Yeah, they just walk in on the key. You just first discover the Citadel, and you walk in on these keepers just manufacturing the place. I'm keeping it going, and you don't research those things.
Well, every time they did, they were like, "Oh, they do something," or people die. I guess I thought that was.
It just worked.
I thought they self-destruct or something.
They self-destruct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, this is an important question. Let's see what he has to say.
In Reaper fashion, I assume they did the least amount required to actually move forward, and with very little consideration of the little ants that were all aboard their toy ship. But also, I think in their terms, every human that's still just sort of on board is just a potential husk for the future. So I would imagine they would just leave them for later.
Wait. If they're potential husks, why were they harvesting them on Earth? What are you talking about? If humans are important, they would take as many. They need as much as they can get. They wouldn't waste them.
Well, I mean, I can answer. They answer it in the cutscene when you go up in there. You're in a room of fucking bodies. So they killed everyone on there. Everyone's dead on the Citadel. No one's alive.
I mean, one could say that
everyone's either dead or they're fighting for their life.
Yeah, they're probably straight up killing the people that resist.
Well, okay, we're talking about the Citadel arms, right? Those have been thrown into space. Yeah. So,
if they weren't in a building, yeah. I have a more of a mystery. Whatever happened to the Citadel, in the sense of why did it get smaller throughout the games? The first ME1. Big, beautiful Citadel. You can explore everywhere. ME2, you could explore a few rooms. ME3, explore a few rooms. That's my question.
They brought it bigger in Mass Effect 3. There were a few levels here and there, but it was not as big as the first game, that's for sure. All right, let's see. Okay, what is he talking about now?
Control Shepard and Anderson at the end of ME3. Had he actually harnessed and recreated some Reaper technology?
They're controlling you. I don't think so, Admiral.
So, well, I mean, he is the elusive man, and his motivations and...
He is the elusive man, he can just do
elusive,
it.
So we're not going to know the exact answer to that, but I think...
He is the elusive man, therefore
even
fuck you all.
if he thought he had harnessed something, did he really? Or
Yeah, oh god, it was purple.
Did he not?
It's like answering
in your hand.
This is answering a question with a question.
Sir, could you please answer the question?
This isn't philosophy. Please give us some straightforward answer.
Yeah,
It's pretty effing obvious that the
Elusive
Reapers
man.
made him think what he wanted to think, just to keep
Even
keep him off of their trail.
I'm just gonna say that even saying I don't know is a better answer than the one he gave.
Just say that. I don't know. We never thought this far ahead. We thought it would look cool. It would look good. I'm like, okay.
It would look cool.
Yeah.
It would look cool, Smud.
But isn't it cool, Smud?
You ever heard what was it? There was some cut lines at that end after Anderson and Shepard are sitting there at the thing, and Anderson asks Shepard,
I think you'd be a great dad.
Yeah, you'd be a great dad. I'm like, why wasn't this in the thing? No, it's just Anderson just like, you did good, son, and then he just dies. It's like, I like it. It's just like...
I actually like that little...
You did a good child, gender neutral.
Oh, yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. You did good.
Very important.
Yeah.
It's like the end of a climax, and you're just the hero's asking the villain, like, "What did you do? Why did you do it?" Like, I don't know.
Holy shit!
It looked cool.
But I never had enough Paragon points to make the elusive man kill himself.
That super chat alone is worth 400.
Message coming in.
Duh.
Patching it through.
You know that if this were Twitch, that would have to be the raid message. It would look cool.
I remember seeing was it the final hours, that interview that what they did? They showed the sketchbooks they had, these weird diagrams. Yeah. It's like one of the pages is like, is it cool? Is it cool enough? How cool can we make? It's like,
is it too cool? No, it's never it's never too cool.
That just reminds me of a funny story about Dark Souls 1, the character Big Hat Logan. The character designer was continually going to Hidetaka Miyazaki, the lead of the game, and every time she came to him, he said, "No, make the hat bigger. It has to be bigger."
Really?
Yeah. And so in the end, the model has just a fucking huge hat.
It helps the name. I'll grant him that.
Yeah.
We have a standards for legibility or readability for people above 55 in Canada. So if you're making a government website, it has to have a certain standard for mobile and desktop. And the font size is gigantic, so people can't with bad vision. So it's like every website in the government on your phone is just 4 words, 4 sentences that fit on one screen. You're like, what the hell is this stupid size?
Yeah, it's just nuts.
The place I work at doesn't have a regulation for a specific size. It just has to look good. And so the size is always way too small. And we have a lot of old people that visit the museum, and they never can read it.
Nah, that shit happens.
Big signs. All right.
Or was he just believing something that the Reapers were sort of seeding into him?
No, I am the savior of humanity.
Did he have control? Was he in control at any point? And then, to me, similar to Seren and the way he really believed in his cause and everything that he was doing, what's interesting about that is, did that
plain and
belief
simple,
come
he was
really
indoctrinated,
from them, or did it come from the Reapers? And I think that's that fun mystery that you have in there with those characters. It makes them more gray and less black and white as villains. Next question.
I don't think he was that gray. I think he was pretty cut and dry, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Reapers control a powerful fleet in ME3, as they do, but ME2 made it sound like they didn't have the funds to build one after constructing the Normandy SR2. How did they get such a large fleet of ships? Great question. I think one of the things we tried to establish, but maybe we didn't quite get there, was that, Cerberus and certainly the Luciman had factions within it.
I do my own research, Commander. A pity you left, Cerberus.
A lot of times
that
the right
answers
hand
nothing.
wouldn't necessarily be privy to what the left hand was doing. And that was intentional. Obviously, the elusive man likes to sort of divide and conquer. So in my mind, it was pretty feasible that we had this
whether there's factions or not, like that still doesn't explain anything about how they get those ships. Like, where did those ships come from? Did they steal it?
But how divide and conquer makes sense having factions in your different factions in your own group? That's not divide and conquer. Divide and conquer is dividing the enemy and then conquering them. That has nothing to do with your own side.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Is there a shipbuilding faction that we didn't hear about? What are you talking about?
Wasn't the question about the funding?
How did they make a fleet?
Yeah, it was like how did they get the money? How did they get the means to build that many ships?
Free real estate. They make different factions, you know.
I mean, the only option I could think of that would actually get him these kind of ships would be like, oh hey, ask some of the Quarians for some help, but since he's pro-human, that's out of the question. He would never do that.
And even if
you could also salvage those ships, but that would still take a ton of money and time to build them, rebuild them back up.
Yeah.
Humanity. Do they have enough money for the research? While somewhere else, mysteriously, ships were being built ad nauseum.
Somewhere else they were being built like crazy. That's great. Thanks.
That still doesn't say anything.
Where'd the ships come from? They just came. What? Oh no, not this one.
It's just like explaining it by saying, somehow, and then you just already know that he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's just kind of that way. He just doesn't use the word somehow. He just explains it in different ways.
Either he gives a bullshit answer that shows he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he just says it would look cool.
There's only been one legitimate thing he's answered. Everything else.
He gave one answer that was actually interesting because it kind of showed what they did, but yeah.
Which one was that? I couldn't tell.
About the one where they were talking about the planets.
How they created the different planets and wrote the law for them.
Yeah, Casey Hudson made them a tool so they wouldn't be lost when they start, because they don't know anything about astronomy. So he's like, all right, let me get all the elements and figure out some planets that could have life on them and put them into a software you can run, and then you could generate your own planets, and then you could build your lore around that. It's like, okay. He figured that part out.
Okay, yeah, now I get it, yeah.
Now, that's interesting because Casey Hudson originally wanted to have was it Mass Effect 1 or Andromeda? I can't remember which was the design. Maybe it was...
It was
the other
most
game.
likely for 1.
Yeah, he wanted procedurally generated stuff. And he never got
that was number 1, I believe.
Yeah. So he kept pushing for it. He tried to do it for Andromeda. They failed. Then they tried to do it for... No, did they even try it for their multiplayer game? I can't remember.
They tried for the original trilogy, they failed. Then they tried for Andromeda and failed again. That's all I know.
Okay, maybe they did for Anthem.
Didn't they spend 5 years trying to get that?
I do remember that a lot of, at least some things from Andromeda were taken straight out of the SFX doc for Mass Effect 1 specifically.
Oh, that's obvious enough.
Yeah, that I do know, but other than that, I don't know much else.
All right.
Odyssey drive created by the Andromeda Initiative based on Reaper technology recovered from Sovereign. So the answer to that is no. If you look back in the history, the Andromeda Initiative was actually starting a lot of its research and its plans to head to Andromeda before the war with Sovereign, and really it was that war with Sovereign that spurred everything on and sort of boosted them to overdrive, but they had to have a plan before that happened. So ostensibly, the Odyssey drive or its core components were already at least theoretical and moving forward at that point. Is there a...
Okay, but that kind of throws that other kind of theory in the trash, because even if they were already planning on doing it before even Sovereign showed up. So I
mean, the earliest you could say is like they've been planning this the moment they found the mass relay, but even then, it doesn't give a feasible.
You still have 90% of the Milky Way to discover.
Wouldn't that kind of mean that they built all those arcs in the span of less than 30 years and everything?
In the span of a few decades, yeah. That's what makes it so much.
No, in the span of even less than 5, maybe. If it was in development before Sovereign, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but between the discovery of the mass relay and the actual battle with Sovereign, that's the 30 years right there, isn't it?
Yeah, gives it maybe 30 years, maybe. Somewhere in between there.
How do resources work in this universe?
It's very funny because the Odyssey drive is the idea behind it is that we were going to sustain long amounts of FTL, and the static discharge from whatever process of the Mass Effect generates electricity that we can store and use for power. Because we've all learned throughout all the games they have to discharge it either at dock or within the planet's atmosphere. So this actually uses it as a power source, which is amazing. Like, you imagine if you're like...
Okay, I don't know what happened there.
Sorry? Oh, there.
It's like I got dropped out and got plugged back in.
Yeah, I just saw
I
you.
think Discord's just being a dick.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So the idea behind the Odyssey Drive is cool, but you think it's something that like the Asari would have figured out 500 years ago or something like that?
Yeah. So. It just seems like humans showed up on the scene and they did everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, humans showed up on the scene and then everybody's like, oh yeah, we better start researching.
Maybe Cerberus is right about
seem
something.
just so stagnant. Like they find something that works and they're like, okay, this is fine. We're not going to bother doing anything.
Yeah.
Once they have technology that works, they're just fine with the status quo. They don't want to do anything more.
Resources come and go as the story demands.
Well, the Asaris were holding back the galaxy, though. They had they were like not sharing their technology, and they had actually a lot more advanced technology, but they didn't tell everybody.
They had one of the most important Prothean beacons known to exist in their backyard.
Yeah, but somehow the Geth created thermal clips and everyone adopts it. You're like, what? Okay. Is that backwards?
This pistol doesn't have a thermal clip.
Maybe the Geth were like trolling everyone. It's like, maybe if we make everyone stupid, they won't know how dumb everyone is. It's like, okay, yeah, let's make everyone dumb.
Jupiter brain and Ploba. And if not, what are the structures deep inside the atmosphere? And that's one of those sort of mysteries that's seeded out there.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
What? Why just some random planet?
Yeah.
I just
How much cherry picking do you need?
I think that should be on a T-shirt somewhere. Okay, next up.
Yeah, that was so obscure.
These are questions.
No, that was a really out of nowhere question.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with anything.
Can you imagine Mac?
I don't even think that was submitted by a fan, because no fan would ever like try to submit that. Like they would submit an actual question, like, "Hey, where's all this and stuff that's from Mass Effect 3 or 2? Where did that?"
It's
Where's
so
the
obscure.
real Mass Effect 2?
That's like from a
lore
guy.
Fan making that question.
Yeah, it's like some guy who's like going through the codex going, oh, what's this planet? Whoa, this is so weird. Where did this come from, Mac? And you're like, who? What?
And I have no problem with that either. It's just that kind of question just crops up every once in a while. It's like, eh.
And welcome back.
We have a hypothetical.
Yeah,
if we take the refuse option as canonical and cast our eyes out 50,000 years...
Anyone on the chat, in the call, don't buy Bluetooth phones. They are really
not the best idea.
Annoying.
Yeah.
Oh no, for me this one's a really dumb question. And an even dumber answer.
Into the future after Mass Effect 3, what primitive races might we see leading the charge against the Reapers? I would probably put my money on the Vorcha. We have called them the cockroaches of the universe.
No, they'd be dead. It would be the Yogg.
We squash.
Yeah, I told you. Dumb answer.
Talking about how much humans have been important for the games, it would be humans again.
Yes, humans would be able to probably survive.
Anything and still be out there leading the charge. But you know, they'll still be out there. I think one of the things that I'm really enjoying about this whole process is just seeing how invested people are in the lore, and you know, to me, sort of reinforces that concept that we have as writers.
Yeah, and how much we are more invested more than you are, dude.
Really flesh out.
He forgets his own lore. He forgets that the Vorcha were being invaded on their homeworld already.
Potentially may never be answered, because it does get people asking questions, and often we find out that, you know, our fans will come up with answers that are even better than anything we could have come up with ourselves.
Yeah.
So thank you for, you know, continuing to ask.
Thank you for writing the lore for us.
Wait, did you just say that sometimes it's cool that these questions never get answered and stuff like that?
As well. So that
no, it was more like, thank you fans for coming up with better answers than us. They make more sense.
Basically.
So in other words, we don't think of the answers, we let you do it.
Basically.
We have you do the answers, so we don't have to.
This is the problem with science fiction, that you don't flesh out properly. There's not an appropriate backstory, even though they have great backstories in the first game about the whole, like the Turian human war, the First Contact war they had, and all the races are connected through the whole genophage problem with the Arachniac. That's all neatly connected. It's all clear that we don't have to ask questions. It's all, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. It's great. And now we have this. It's like, well, what happened to this ancient race that were previously made statues by the Protheans? Is like, oh yeah,
I don't know.
What a pointless video.
Retcon them because they didn't look cool.
And it's like leaving things as a mystery can work. It's you just have to play all your cards right.
Yeah, it also depends on what you're doing with it, on what kind of story you're telling.
Exactly. That too.
For example, Yoda is the best example of giving things on history. I know they will do his story on High Republic, but until then, he's a mystery.
And he should remain a mystery because that's what's the more interesting part about his character.
Well, a lot of
because even if you know, like as soon as they answer that, that's just gonna cause so much problems.
Yeah, a lot of the Star Wars stuff is pretty up in the air anyway. It doesn't have to be though, because it's not a hard science fiction story. It doesn't need it.
When you're leaving stuff like if you're in a with a story as big as Mass Effect with galactic wars and all that stuff, the motivation of the enemy is very important to your story, because if you don't have a motivation for your villains or your other factions, why should I even care?
And to make it abundantly clear.
To me, my favorite example of effectively leaving something a mystery is Lovecraft's The Color from Outer Space.
Oh,
because it's just... The thing that just happens, the alien that's there, it's never explained what it is. The color isn't even explained how it looks like and everything, but it's used for such a fantastic effect that it leaves everything to your imagination on that aspect.
Yes, it does. It does.
The only downside on seeing the drawings, the fan art for all the ancient ones, is that you have an image for them. The optional way is to not see those fan art and read the stories, because the way he described it is just to make the character going mad. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's all the questions. Let's just finish off the video.
That's it. I just want to thanks again for all the amazing questions. I love diving into
the amazing questions and how I love to dog the questions.
We may have cherry-picked a few, just to let you know.
Thanks very much to the subreddit. You really came up with some great questions that I hadn't considered before.
The questions you're probably not going to see in this video.
I can definitely tell he didn't consider those questions.
Dear Reddit, give us questions, and then they get like 100,000 questions. And almost all of them are like, why is the ending so shit?
From all the questions, what do you think was the more interesting? What was the most interesting question?
Obviously, none of those questions were relatively interesting, except for the one where they actually talked about how they did the planets. It's bad.
Agreed.
That was the only, for my opinion, was the only interesting question. How they made the planet for the game.
I think all of them could have been interesting if you actually answered them.
Yeah, I guess he just had some pretty generic, lame, kind of like, well, I don't really know, but it'll go this way.
I mean, for all we know, there could be marshmallows in the Mass Effect relays. Who knows?
Oh, God.
I mean, it would be cool, right?
One thing I know with other developers, when they ask like generic question, they like answer the question, then they like think of a neat story that's kind of related to the question that's still really interesting into looking into how the process.
Right. When you have a writer's room, like a bunch of people, he should have given his own opinion on how it works. Like when you have artists who say, you know what, I don't think Tally should look like that. Here's my sketch that I did, that's my Tally. It's like, oh, okay, cool. That's not the real, obviously not in the game, but that's how he thought of it, and that got left on the cutting room floor. It's like, that's the kind of answer we want, because obviously this stuff has not been solidified. It hasn't been written down, but he should have insight into all these conversations. So if there aren't any actual answers, these conversations never happened. he can't remember them, or he was never part of them. So he's making shit up.
He obviously needed to be with the other group from that made the game. Just he was, I don't know, he didn't know how to answer all these questions.
There are lots of ways to answer these questions. Any sci-fi writer would jump on all of these topics, especially a world that has already been made and he helped build. This would have been like awesome fun time for him to just go crazy instead of getting destroyed on a subreddit somewhere because everyone would jump on him. So this would be like a safe little way for him to express himself, and he just avoided, I guess, 80% of those questions with non-answers or it looked good.
Yeah. It looked cool.
It looked cool.
So cool.
So cool.
Hey, at least we got a good meme out of this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, guys, that was cool. I liked doing this stuff with you guys. Once in a while, it's always good to have a very specific conversation with fans about a topic we all enjoy. Sadly, it's about a topic that not everyone has as much information as we'd like. I don't know why, but apparently creators just don't care about their creations enough to write them out.
Yeah.
We can't all have a George Lucas or a J. Michael Straczynski or an Isaac Asimov. Yeah, pick a writer that actually knows what they're doing. So
I'm just gonna go back to reading Brandon Sanderson.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you had the choice, like which would you say is worse, Mass Effect as it stands now, or the Star Wars prequels?
Which I don't think it was Massive. I don't say read with Massive. I'm gonna stay with. I'm gonna actually stay with the Star Wars prequels. Yeah.
As being worse.
No. As the Star Wars prequels are actually better.
Okay.
I think you can. There is a consistent the storylines are connected. Maybe not episode 1 to 2, but the storylines are connected. The storylines are connected and everything it flows. Yeah, the writing's bad, but it's not. It's not Mass Effect.
Look at.
You can't deny that there is at least that effort that they made to at least try to tie everything together as best they could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at least with Mass Effect 2 and stuff like that, you have the characters, which great idea.
They carried the game.
Yeah, that was the reason why everyone loved that game.
Yeah, it's like the characters the other characters in isolation. The execution was really good.
Well, okay, look at the Star Wars trilogy, what they did badly. Okay, so they retconned the Force with midichlorians. It's still an answer. It's a bad answer, but it's still a retcon.
But it's an answer, yeah.
Yeah. They screwed up the progression of Anakin's character into Darth Vader. It's a horrible, stupid, infantile way of connecting A to B or A to C. It's just silly. There's so many ways to make a villain develop into a villain in an organic way, okay?
Better character development than Rey, though. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the prequels, right? Just the prequels. So there's lots of stupid scenes in the prequels for kids and the lore and the plot mechanics, what have you. But think of it this way: in episode 2, did they change how guns work? Did they change?
No.
Did they change the main plot of what the goal of the whole story was? Did they introduce dozens and dozens of characters that have nothing to do with anything? Did they completely eradicate lore in the third game and just do a bunch of bullshit like a big party that everyone had? Like a Christmas party? Okay, that's probably the same thing.
Ironically enough, episode 3 being the best one to tie a lot of that shit together, too. At least in my opinion.
Yeah, 3... Yeah. Prequels gets kind of redeemed in the 3. It's just there's just
at least a little bit.
Although a lot of people say that the novelization is really good. The novelization of the prequels.
I will say this: if someone were to let's say if I was some producer and someone would hand me the cliff notes to the prequels and be like, okay, so you have this crowded bureaucracy and you have the rise of Palpatine. Okay, that's pretty cool. How are we going to do this? And then George Lucas would explain to me yeah, no, we're not doing it that way. Well, execution-wise,
I don't see any problem showing the Senate or how the Senate exploded, but let's just say that he used a big portion of the movie just to show the scenes.
Can you repeat that one more time? I didn't quite catch that.
I don't have a problem with him using the Senate, showing the Senate is loaded, that the bureaucracy is huge, and the planet can't rely on the Republic. But I think
that's fine. It's just always the execution, and the execution of the prequels was.
Yeah, so that's especially at the start. It was like mediocre at best.
The only thing that I quite like from the prequels is the 23 Clone Wars. Not the Filoni Clone Wars, the 23 Clone Wars.
Did 2000...
2003.
2003, yeah.
Hey,
I was like,
what, the animated one?
The both animated
one.
Both.
The 2D one.
I like the 2D one, yeah.
I like when we moved from Mass Effect to Star Wars. I always loved those kind of transitions.
I mean, mind you, Mass Effect did take some inspiration from Star Wars.
That's sure. That's for sure. But Mass Effect was...
is no to do Star Wars games. And when they lost the Star Wars license, they did their own, which is Mass Effect.
Yeah. Personally, I don't know between which I could decide, because honestly, both aren't quite my cup of tea, but I enjoy both in a way as well. But just speaking quality, I think I will go Mass Effect.
Yeah, I'd go with Mass Effect because prequels never really pulled me in. Mass Effect at least pulled me in.
I mean, Mass Effect 1 was like something special, at least with the world building that they had.
Mass Effect 1 on its own was, like you said, it's like it was something really special. And if it had been just that one game, it would have been like a once in a lifetime kind of thing in terms of gaming.
I will say, playing the first one, going back and playing the first one is such a slog. At least trying to get off the
I mean, to be fair, that's because of how much 2 and 3 improved on the combat. And they improved on it very well. I will give credit to 2 and 3 for that.
Yeah,
it lost some of the RPG aspects, though.
They added
they're still there. It's just that they balance it out more with the combat.
Yeah,
which is how I prefer to play the series. If they do the remastered trilogy and give all 3 games the Mass Effect 3 combat engine, I know it's damn near impossible, but it would just be more of an organic transition between the 3 games.
Yeah.
Are you saying you don't want to have like super speed Commander Shepard as you hit that sprint button and fly across the map?
There is actually a pretty good video out on YouTube. It was called Domino World Building. I don't know if you guys have seen that video before. I don't know. It's a pretty good video on like how it took the world building of Mass Effect and it went backwards through it. You had so you had the First Contact War. How'd that get started? Oh, because you had a bunch of Turians and actually all the races really just popping up open Mass Effect relays, and then that started the Rachni War. But then how'd we get the Rachni War? Oh, and that was solved with the Krogans. It was all just a domino effect of world building.
That's awesome.
All right, folks, so I'm going to call it a stream, and thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate everyone taking the time to chat and talk and have a good time. Looking at a video from last year from Arts Technica with Mac Walters. Always a pleasure to listen to Mac Walters and all his wonderful creative ideas he shares with us plebeians.
And how cool he thinks a lot of the stuff in the games is.
They were cool.
They were cool. They were cool. It's just, hey, we got a meme out of it. At least.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been fun.
I'm always happy to talk about Mass Effect.
Alrighty.
Yeah, thanks for having
us on.
And
anything else around it.
Okay, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Yep.